Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto had a brother who was the same age as Itachi and also happened to be a reincarnation from another world. Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. It was a Friday afternoon and I found myself sitting on the bench outside of my apartment complex, lost in thought. The gentle breeze ruffled my hair as I contemplated the state of my favorite anime, Naruto, and its ill-fated sequel, Boruto. Next Generations. Sigh, Boruto is getting worse by the day, I muttered to myself, frustration etched on my face. They're just rehashing the same story from Naruto. As I pondered the decline of my beloved series, I absent-mindedly watched the world go by. People bustled about, each absorbed in their own lives, oblivious to the inner turmoil of a disillusioned anime fan. That's when I saw her, a little girl, no older than 6, her ebony hair fluttering in the wind as she darted toward the busy road. Her mother, engrossed in conversation on her phone with a friend, had her back turned, unaware of her daughter's reckless dash toward danger. "Hey, watch out!" I shouted, my voice cutting through the air like a desperate plea. But the cacophony of the city drowned my words, and the mother remained blissfully ignorant of her child's peril. A looming disaster unfolded before my eyes as a massive truck hurtled down the street, its driver slamming on the brakes in a desperate attempt to avoid catastrophe. The screeching of tires filled the air as the truck's tires skidded, and it became clear that the driver had lost control. Panic surged within me as the little girl stood frozen, her gaze locked onto the oncoming behemoth. The mother, finally sensing the imminent danger, turned to see her daughter's life hanging in the balance. She screamed a primal, gut-wrenching cry that echoed in the hearts of all who heard it. Without thinking, my body sprang into action, propelled by a surge of adrenaline and a primal instinct to protect. Time seemed to slow as I sprinted toward the little girl, the world blurring around me. Every muscle in my body strained with the effort, my sole focus on reaching her in time. The truck's horn blared, a mournful wail of impending disaster. My heart pounded in my chest as I neared the girl, my outstretched arms a beacon of hope. In that heart-stopping moment, my world condensed to the little girl and the inexorable force of the oncoming truck. And then, I reached her. With all the strength I could muster, I pushed the girl out of harm's way, her tiny body tumbling into her mother's arms. I barely registered the relief that washed over the mother's face as she clutched her daughter tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. But I had no time to revel in the rescue. I turned to face the truck, its colossal frame bearing down upon me with merciless intent. There was no escape, no way to evade the inevitable. The world seemed to hold its breath as I braced myself for the impact that would seal my fate. The truck's massive form loomed closer and closer, a juggernaut of steel and fate. I couldn't move, couldn't look away, as it closed the distance between us. In that surreal moment, I accepted my destiny with a mixture of resignation and peace. The collision was inevitable. The world exploded into chaos as the truck's front grille struck me with unimaginable force. I felt my body go airborne, a ragdoll in the grip of an uncaring force of nature. Pain, sharp and overwhelming, coursed through every fiber of my being, but I clung to consciousness with a tenacity born of sheer will. And then, darkness. There I was, suspended in a void of nothingness. It was a place of utter calm, where time held no meaning and emotion ceased to exist. I floated, weightless and detached, as though I had transcended the boundaries of existence itself. So, I guess I'm dead, huh? I mused aloud, my words echoing in the emptiness. At least I died saving the little girl. Well, I wonder what's next. Maybe it's like some of the religions say. As I contemplated the enigma of my existence, I felt a peculiar sensation, a gentle pressure, as though I was being squeezed from all sides. It was a sensation both comforting and disconcerting, a reminder that I was not alone in this void. The pressure intensified, and I felt myself being drawn toward a singular point as if I were being birthed anew. The sensation was both surreal and undeniable, a transition from one state of being to another. And then, with a rush of warmth and light, I was reborn. The world that greeted me was a stark departure from the darkness of the void. I was wrapped in something warm and soft, cradled in the loving embrace of an unseen presence. The cacophony of life assaulted my senses, a symphony of sounds and sensations that were both overwhelming and strangely comforting. "Welcome to the world, Kaido," a voice whispered, its tone filled with affection and warmth. I blinked, trying to make sense of my surroundings. The voice, so tender and caring, was unfamiliar yet reassuring. It was then that I realized I was no longer the person I once was. I had been reborn into a new existence, a fresh start in a world brimming with possibilities. As I gazed up, I saw the faces of two individuals, a man and a woman, their expressions radiating boundless love and tenderness. The man, with spiky blonde hair and a sense of unwavering determination in his eyes, spoke first. "He's a cute one, isn't he?" said, his voice filled with pride and joy. "He has the same hair color as you." The woman, with striking vermilion hair and a fierce maternal instinct, echoed his words with a smile that could banish even the darkest of storms. Of course, he takes after his beautiful mother, she boasted while cradling me with gentle hands. Confusion swirled within me as I tried to comprehend the reality of my rebirth. Who were these people, and why had I been entrusted to their care? The questions bubbled to the surface, eager for answers, but for now, I was content to bask in the warmth of their embrace. In the quiet moments of the night, as I lay in the warm embrace of my new mother, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought me to this point. The memories of my former life were shrouded in the mists of the past like fragments of a story half remembered. But I knew that I had been given a second chance, a new lease on life, and I was determined to make the most of it. In the middle of August, the summer was in full swing, and it was just another normal day in the village hidden in the leaves. However, a little further away from the village, within the lush forest surrounding it, an extraordinary event was unfolding beneath a powerful barrier seal. Under the protection of this seal lay a woman with vibrant crimson hair, none other than Kushina Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki of the fearsome nine-tailed fox, and the beloved wife of the renowned yellow flash of the hidden leaf, Minato Namikaze. "Ah, it hurts, you know," Kushina screamed, her voice echoing through the chamber as she writhed in agony while trying to bring her child into the world. Minato, standing by her side with his distinctive yellow hair and piercing blue eyes, was filled with concern. He had never seen Kushina in such excruciating pain before, and he couldn't help but worry about her. "I've never seen Kushina in so much pain before that she cried out like this, is she really going to be okay?" He pondered, his voice tinged with unease. "Yes, she's going to be fine. Now, just stay focused on the nine-tailed seal," reassured Lady Bawako Sarutobi, a woman with brown and black eyes, the wife of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, and the skilled midwife attending to Kushina's childbirth. "You're one of the strongest shinobi, Minato, now, act like it and get a grip. Most men would have dropped dead from such pain long ago. We, women, are much stronger in these situations." Minato nodded, his resolve strengthened by Lady Bawako's words. He knew that his role was pivotal at this moment to reinforce the weakening seal of the Jinchuriki while Kushina gave birth. As if to challenge their determination, the nine-tailed fox sealed within Kushina made its presence known. The seal's weakening during childbirth posed a significant threat, and Minato's presence was essential to prevent the catastrophe of the nine tails' escape. "He's so strong the nine tails is writhing to get out," Minato thought as sweat poured off his face. He turned to Kushina, his voice filled with urgency, "Hang in there, Kushina, just a little while longer." Outside the chamber, vigilant Anbu Black Ops members stood guard, their faces concealed behind masks. Some of them were maintaining the barrier that surrounded the area while others guarded, preventing any unauthorized entry or exit. "I can see the head now. You're almost there, Kushina," Lady Bawako declared as she observed the birthing process. Kushina, battling both the pain of childbirth and the raging nine tails, pushed forward with unwavering determination. "Just hang in there, you're doing great," encouraged Lady Bawako's assistant. All the while, Minato clung to the seal, his willpower alone keeping the tailed beast at bay. And then, in a moment that felt like an eternity, the room was filled with the heartwarming cries of a newborn infant. After countless hours of struggle, Kushina finally breathed a sigh of relief. "Today, I'm a father," Minato said, a radiant smile gracing his face as he moved closer to see his child. But before he could touch the newborn, Lady Bawako scolded him gently, reminding him of the order of things, "Hands off, you. Mother first, and father second." Following her instructions, Minato patiently waited as the midwife cleaned and prepared the baby for his first encounter with the world. With great care, Lady Bawako then brought the tiny bundle of joy over to the exhausted mother. She gingerly placed the newborn in Kushina's loving arms, ensuring that mother and child shared this precious moment. It was a scene filled with tears of joy and profound emotion. With teary eyes, Kushina gazed down at her son, her heart overflowing with love. "Welcome to the world, Kaido," she whispered softly, her voice filled with warmth and affection. While Kushina and her son shared this intimate moment, Minato resumed his duty. With unwavering determination, he carefully retightened the seal that bound the nine tails. "I know you just gave birth, but bear with me for a second, okay?" he said to Kushina as he strengthened the seal, ensuring the village's safety. After the seal was once again secure, Minato finally had the chance to fully take in the sight of his child. Held securely in Kushina's embrace, their son was a testament to their love, featuring a blend of both their features. His facial structure mirrored his father's, while his vibrant crimson hair was unmistakably inherited from his mother. Minato couldn't help but marvel at the tiny life they had brought into the world. "He's a cute one, isn't he?" Minato beamed with pride and joy as he admired his newborn son. "He has the same hair color as you." Kushina, her heart swelling with happiness, smiled at her husband's words. She cradled their son even closer and replied, "Of course, he takes after his beautiful mother." The baby, still drowsy from the warmth and comfort of his mother's embrace, gazed up at his parents with a mix of confusion and curiosity. In that quiet moment, as mother, father, and child shared their first precious minutes together, their love and care enveloped their new family with a sense of warmth that would carry them through the challenges and adventures that lay ahead. The journey of parenthood had begun for Minato and Kushina, and they were ready to embrace it with all the love in their hearts. As the days turned into weeks, I continued to adapt to my new life as an infant in this world. My new parents doted on me with unwavering love and attention that warmed my heart. It was a love I had never known in my previous life as an orphan, and it filled the void that had always lingered within me. With the passing of each day, I came to the realization that I was reborn into a fictional world, none other than my favorite anime, Naruto. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place when I heard my parents' last names. My full name was Kaido Uzumaki. Yes, you heard me right, my last name was Uzumaki, and to top it off, I was born as the son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. This revelation left me perplexed for a while because I thought, wasn't Naruto supposed to be their kid? If so, shouldn't my name be Naruto instead of Kaido? This revelation threw me for a loop, and I grappled with the implications of this newfound identity. They were supposed to die sealing the 9 tails in Naruto on the day of his birth, I mused. As you can imagine, I was confused to no end. However, amidst the confusion, there was a profound sense of gratitude for not ending up as an orphan like Naruto did. The following days were a mix of wonder and confusion. I couldn't help but feel a connection to the characters I had watched and admired on the screen for so long. Minato Namikaze, the soon-to-be 4th Hokage, and Kushina Uzumaki, the red hot-blooded habanero, were now my parents. As time went by, I tried to piece together as much information as I could about the world and the timeline I was in. Being a few-month-old infant, I was severely limited in my abilities to explore and understand the world around me. So, all I could do was observe my surroundings and eavesdrop on my parents' conversations, hoping for a clue as to what was going on. It was like trying to solve a puzzle with only a few scattered pieces. One day, while my parents sat in the living room in comfortable silence, I overheard Minato telling Kushina that he would be heading to the battlefields after the leave he had taken for the birth of his son. Kushina, looking worried and sad while holding little Kaido in her arms, asked, "Do you really have to go, Minato? Can't you stay with us a little while longer?" Minato's expression carried a mix of determination and sadness as he replied, "I wish I could. I really wish I could just stay home with you and Kaido. But as it stands, the war is intensifying and Konoha has lost a lot of shinobi. We're being pushed back on all sides. If I don't go, we might lose the war and I want to do all I can to make sure you and Kaido are safe." With those words, Minato came closer and embraced them both, whispering, "I'll protect you guys no matter what." Sighing, Kushina simply said, "Please return to us safely, as they held each other tightly. From this conversation, I learned that my parents were in the midst of the Third Shinobi War. Well, I could have guessed that from their youthful appearances. For context, both my parents looked like they were in their early 20s, but having confirmation was reassuring. It was a time of uncertainty and danger, and my parents' concern for my safety became even more evident. The next morning, Minato left for the front lines after saying his heartfelt goodbyes to Kushina and Kaido. The day went by just like any other, and Kushina, while sitting on the couch playing with me in her lap. That's when we heard a knock at the door. Kushina took me in her arms and walked to the door to see who it was. Humming. Who could it be? She wondered aloud. As she opened the door, a woman in her late 20s stood there with an infant in her arms, beaming at Kushina. She said, "Good to see you, Kushina." "Oh, that must be Kaido-kun you're carrying." Kushina's face lit up with joy as she exclaimed, "Mikoto. Good to see you, and oh, my little Itachi-kun has gotten bigger since the last time I saw him come in. I'll make some tea, and we can catch up." It was during this reunion that it finally dawned on me I now knew the time frame in which I was born. I was the same age as Itachi, which made me 5 years older than Naruto and the others. This revelation added another layer of complexity to my existence. There I was placed right in front of Itachi Uchiha, the prodigy of the Uchiha clan. The Itachi that would be forced to massacre the Uchiha clan and shape the destiny of his brother and clan. I turned my head and watched Kushina and Mikoto watching us interact with one another. "I hope both become really good friends," said Kushina, and Mikoto nodded. And so, the rest of the day passed in a blur as I delved into deep thought about the implications of my newfound identity and the challenges that lay ahead. As I lay in my crib that night, I couldn't help but ponder the significance of being born into this world as Kaido Uzumaki, the son of Minato and Kushina. Itachi Uchiha, the young boy who would go on to become one of the most complex and enigmatic characters in the Naruto series, was now my potential childhood friend. The thought of witnessing the events that would shape his life, including the tragedy of the Nine Tails attack and the Uchiha clan massacre, filled me with a mixture of anticipation and dread. My new life was a delicate balance between embracing the love and warmth of my new family and coming to terms with the knowledge that I was living in a world where ninjas, jutsus, and deadly battles were a reality. It was a world where friendships and rivalries could mean the difference between life and death and where the destiny of nations hung in the balance. As the weeks gradually turned into months, my determination to safeguard my newfound family and alter the course of events in this world grew stronger with each passing day. My resolve was crystal clear. I needed to ensure the survival of my parents, Minato and Kushina, especially during the perilous night of Naruto's birth. To achieve this monumental task, I had to gather as much information as possible about the world I found myself in and pinpoint the exact moment within the Third Shinobi War when I was born. One key revelation surfaced when Itachi and his mother, Mikoto, paid us a visit a few weeks after my initial realization about my new identity. Itachi, destined to become a legendary figure in the world of shinobi, was roughly my age, placing me in the same era as him. This knowledge provided a crucial clue about the timeline I inhabited and the impending events. Minato's return to the village after a successful mission and a summons from the Hokage marked another significant turning point. As he sat at the dining table, cradling me in his arms, Kushina, busy preparing a meal, inquired about the reason for his summons by the village's leader. "So why did the third call you to his office?" she asked with curiosity. Minato replied, "Oh, the third Hokage wants me to mentor a team of genin who will be graduating soon. It's a responsibility I didn't expect, but I'll do my best." This revelation indicated that Minato was about to embark on a new chapter of his own, assuming the role of a sensei to a group of young ninjas to be. It was a critical development that would play a pivotal role in shaping the future of the Hidden Leaf Village. My thoughts shifted to Kakashi Haddock, a legendary figure in his own right, who was approximately 10 years older than Itachi and me. My recollections from the series informed me that Kakashi had been 15 years old when Minato and Kushina perished, and he had achieved the rank of Jonin at the tender age of 13. It was during this promotion that he received Obito Uchiha Sharingan as a gift, setting in motion a series of events that would define his life. Obito, slightly older than Kakashi by 1 or 2 years, became a genin at the age of 9. Kakashi, on the other hand, had entered the world of shinobi at an astonishingly young age, becoming a genin at a mere 5 years old. He further solidified his status by becoming a chunin at the age of 6. Obito had participated in the chunin exam alongside Kakashi, but fate had dealt him a different hand, leading to his loss against Guy. Determined to catch up, Obito trained diligently and attempted the chunin exam again a year later, achieving success at the age of 11. The realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. If I could somehow change Obito's tragic fate, preventing his death and the subsequent emergence of Tobi, I might be able to significantly alter the course of history. However, the complexities of such a task loomed large. How could I, a mere 3-year-old residing in Hiroto's body, hope to rescue Obito from his seemingly inevitable demise? Furthermore, revealing my true identity or my knowledge of future events to Minato was a risky proposition. How would he react if he learned that a teenager from the future had taken possession of his son's body? The consequences were unpredictable, and I needed to exercise extreme caution. One option that crossed my mind was to communicate my concerns to Minato without revealing too much. I could express a general sense of foreboding, hoping that it might prompt him to be more vigilant or take extra precautions. However, even that seemed like a long shot. Another strategy involved focusing on my personal growth and development. If I could become stronger, both in terms of physical prowess and ninja skills, I might stand a better chance of intervening in critical moments. For instance, I could potentially thwart Obito's attempt to take Naruto hostage during the Nine Tails attack, buying Minato the precious time he needed to deal with Obito and rescue Kushina and Naruto. Yet, this plan came with its own set of challenges. It raised the critical issue of the Nine Tails itself. If I prevented the sealing of Kurama into Naruto, it would mean that Naruto wouldn't have access to Kurama's immense power in the future, a power that played a pivotal role in the battles against Madara Uchiha and Kagaya Otsutsuki during the Fourth Shinobi War. I pondered this dilemma for hours on end. If Kurama was unsealed, my mother will die. However, if Kurama is not sealed within Naruto, the world itself could be at risk. It was a frustrating and perplexing conundrum with no apparent solution. Minato could potentially split Kurama's yin and yang chakras, I contemplated aloud, but can he do so without resorting to the Reaper Death Seal? The uncertainty gnawed at me, and no matter how many scenarios I envisioned, I could not seem to arrive at a satisfactory resolution. With a heavy sigh, I concluded I should focus on my own growth and development for now. There's no point in agonizing over matters I have limited control over. I need to grow up, acquire the necessary skills and knowledge, and then take action when the time is right. As an infant in this world, my abilities were severely restricted, but my determination burned brightly. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty and challenges, yet I was resolute in my determination to make the most of my unique circumstances. I had a new family to protect, a world to navigate, and a destiny to reshape. The journey had only just begun. As the weeks turned into months and the months into years, a considerable amount of time had passed, 3 years, to be precise. I had grown rapidly over these years, transforming from an infant into a toddler as I eagerly awaited the beginning of my shinobi training. In the mornings, I would watch with fascination as my father, Minato, prepared for his missions with Team Minato. His sense of duty, his unwavering determination, and his mastery of the shinobi arts were awe-inspiring. I couldn't help but admire him and aspire to be like him. Kushina, my mother, noticed my growing interest in shinobi training and decided to introduce me to some basic principles at home. She taught me about chakra, the life force that fueled a shinobi's abilities, and the different nature transformations. I absorbed this knowledge like a sponge, eager to grasp the fundamentals. On this particular day, I found myself beside my mother, Kushina, as we strolled down a bustling street filled with vendors and merchants. Our mission for the moment? Buying groceries. "Ah-chan, can we get some lychee, please?" I inquired, my eyes sparkling with anticipation. Lychee is raichi in Japanese, happened to be one of my absolute favorite fruits, so I couldn't resist the urge to request them. "We just bought a box full of them yesterday. Did you eat them all?" Kushina inquired, giving me a discerning look. Employing my best puppy dog eyes, I responded, "But they are so good," pleading with all the innocence a toddler could muster. Sighing, she eventually succumbed to her son's persuasive gaze and bought some lychee for me. "Make sure you don't finish them too quickly or you won't get any for another week, you know," she cautioned. Apart from my lychee addiction, these last 3 years had been quite eventful. Minato, my father, had been assigned to the same team as in the original canon Kakashi Hatake, Obito Uchiha, and Rin Nohara. They bore an uncanny resemblance to their canon counterparts, and while I had met them once or twice, most of my time was spent with Kushina and Minato when at home. This leads me to another significant development. My friendship with Itachi Uchiha. Due to our mother's frequent meetings and conversations, we often found ourselves having playdates. Itachi was remarkably intelligent for his age, and during our brief encounters, he informed me that his father was about to commence his training in the shinobi arts. Speaking of training, I had already determined the path I wanted to follow as a shinobi. There were different styles and approaches. Some, like Hashirama Senju and Naruto Uzumaki, relied on their physical strength and power to overwhelm opponents. Others, such as healers like Tsunade and Sakura Haruno, used their innate ability to heal and strike back. Then there were the all-rounders like Kakashi Hatake and Hiruzen Sarutobi, who excelled in various aspects of shinobi combat. However, my preference leaned towards the speed-type shinobi, exemplified by Minato Namikaze, all the previous Reikimamage, and Shisui Uchiha. These shinobi were swift and lethal, making them highly effective in their roles. Fast forward to the present day. I found myself helping Mom prepare an extravagant dinner, fully aware that Tu-chan would be returning home soon from his mission with Team Minato. She was whipping up ebi tempura and chicken katsu, 2 of our family's favorites. "I'm home," came my father's voice from the door. Upon spotting him, I rushed over and gave him a warm hug, enthusiastically greeting him. "Welcome home, Tu-chan, welcome home, dear. You're just in time. Hurry up and freshen up, we'll set the table," Kushina said with a radiant smile. After the meal, we all sat down and chatted about our respective days. When I finally mustered the courage to bring up the topic that had been on my mind for a while, I asked, "Mom, Tu-chan, can I start my shinobi training, please?" Kushina looked puzzled, wondering why I would want to begin my training at such a young age. She voiced her concern, saying, "Why would you want to start your training so soon? You should enjoy your childhood more, you know." But Itachi said he's already started his training in the shinobi way and I don't want to fall too far behind, you know, I replied, subtly using Kushina's verbal tic. Minato, perceptive as always, probed further, "Is that the only reason you want to start so early?" I decided to be honest and revealed my true motivation. "I want to become strong so that I can protect both of you. I've heard about the war and I'm scared that we might lose family members. I don't want to lose Ka-chan and Tu-chan," I declared with unwavering determination. While it wasn't an outright lie, my fear wasn't so much about the war itself, but rather the traumatic memory of the Nine Tails attack. Upon hearing my heartfelt confession, Kushina enveloped me in a warm hug, tears glistening in her eyes. She reassured me, "You won't ever lose Ka-chan or Tu-chan, we're super strong, you know." Minato joined in, hugging us both tightly. After a while, we reluctantly let go of each other. Still nestled in Kushina's comforting arms, I looked up at Minato, who wore a gentle smile. "Well, we should get to bed soon because your training will start early in the morning," he announced. And so, as the night settled in and I drifted off to sleep, thoughts of my future shinobi training and the determination to protect my family filled my dreams. The journey ahead would be challenging, but with the unwavering support of my parents and the knowledge that I was pursuing this path to safeguard my loved ones, I felt ready to embrace the challenges and adventures that awaited me in the world of shinobi. The gentle rays of the sun filtered through my window, casting a warm glow that gently roused me from my slumber. The familiar voice of my mother, Kushina, filled the room, a perfect blend of gentleness and determination. "Kaido-kun, wake up or you'll be late for your first day of training." Instantly, my grogginess dissipated, replaced by a surge of energy and anticipation. The day marked the beginning of my journey as a shinobi, a path I had dreamed of countless times. Fully awake, I stepped into the shower, allowing the cascading water to invigorate my senses. The shower served as a ritual of preparation, clearing my mind and fortifying my determination for the momentous day ahead. Afterward, I dressed in the training attire my thoughtful mother had laid out for me on my bed. A simple white t-shirt and black pants. As I glanced at my reflection in the mirror, I couldn't help but contemplate the unique combination of features I had inherited from my parents. My father's facial features and striking blue eyes stared back at me, while my hair, the same vivid shade of red as my mother's, fell in a spiky yet slightly droopy manner. It was a distinctive blend, reminiscent of Shisui's hairstyle, but longer and distinctly red. With my appearance satisfying me, I left my room, guided by the enticing aroma of breakfast wafting from the kitchen. Downstairs, I found my parents, Kushina and Minato, already engaged in conversation. "Good morning, Ka-chan, Tu-chan," I greeted them with a mixture of enthusiasm and nervousness. Kushina turned toward me, her smile radiant. "Good morning, Kaido-kun. Are you ready for your first day of training?" Her enthusiasm was infectious. I nodded firmly, my voice filled with conviction. "Hi, Ka-chan, I'm ready to train and become stronger." Minato, my Tu-chan, affectionately ruffled my hair and added, "That's the spirit, kiddo." His azure eyes sparkled with pride and joy. "But remember, the training will be challenging. It's essential to stay focused and work hard, but don't push yourself too far. You're still very young." I listened attentively, understanding the importance of maintaining a steady pace and avoiding reckless behavior. After a hearty breakfast, my Tu-chan and I were ready to embark on our day. "See you later, Ka-chan," I said as we made our way to the door. Kushina's parting words were filled with motherly concern. "Train hard and don't overexert yourself. Take breaks if you find it too much, you know. I'll bring you guys lunch. Please take care of him, Minakoi," she said while hugging me. Minato reassured her, "You don't have to worry, Kushina. I'll keep him safe." With our goodbyes said, we left for the third training ground. As we journeyed along the road, my excitement couldn't be contained and I found myself inundating my Tu-chan with questions. "Where are we heading?" I inquired as we ventured southeast of the village. "We're going to meet my team at the third training ground," Minato replied. "So, I'll be training alongside your team?" I asked, eager for more details. Minato provided clarity. "Yes and no. While I'll assign them tasks and monitor their progress, I'll focus more on teaching you the basics." Upon reaching the training grounds, we were greeted by two individuals with no sign of their third member. Rin exuberantly extended her greetings. "Aheo, sensei, and aheo to you too. Who might you be?" Rin was a girl with brown hair and brown eyes, adorned with some markings on her cheeks. She appeared to be around 14. Next to her stood Kakashi, with his signature silver hair and striking black eyes. Despite his young age of 13, he exuded an air of maturity. Minato acknowledged their punctuality with a smile. "Aheo, Rin-chan, Kakashi-kun. I'm glad you guys are early. It seems Obito is late again." He then introduced me, saying, "Let me introduce you guys, this is my son, Kaido Uzumaki. Kaido, these are my students, Kakashi Haddock and Rin Nahara." I returned their greetings warmly. "Aheo, Rin-san, Kakashi-san. It's nice to finally meet you." Curiosity got the best of me and I couldn't help but ask Kakashi, "Haddock, are you related to Konoha's White Fang by any chance?" In my previous life, knowledge about Tsukumo Haddock, famously known as Konoha's White Fang, was relatively scarce. However, the legends surrounding him were undeniably powerful. He was rumored to possess a strength that eclipsed even the combined might of the legendary Sannin during their prime. Tsukumo Haddock's prowess was considered one of the primary reasons Konoha had survived the brutal turmoil of the Second Shinobi War. Tragically, his life took a sorrowful turn when he fell victim to a series of unfortunate events. It was a heartbreaking shame that his exceptional abilities and unwavering dedication were overshadowed by the alleged incompetence of Hiruzen Sarutobi. This led to Tsukumo being unfairly used as a scapegoat for a critical mission's failure, allowing Danzo Shimura to maliciously spread damaging rumors about him. The weight of these false accusations ultimately pushed him to commit a tragic act of suicide, marking the untimely end of a shinobi legend. Kakashi's expression shifted slightly as he grappled with my question, seemingly caught off guard. Just as he appeared ready to respond, a newcomer burst onto the scene, none other than Obito-che. "Sorry I'm late, sensei." I had to help a grandma carry groceries, Obito apologized while catching his breath. Minato was quick to reassure him. It's okay, Obito. You arrived just on time, we were just about to start. Before Minato could delve further into our training agenda, Obito's curiosity got the better of him. Who's the small fry beside you, sensei? Obito inquired, causing my eye to twitch in irritation. However, Minato intervened before I could respond, saying, this is my son, Kaido Uzumaki, and Kaido, this is my last student, Obito-che. Feigning ignorance, I casually asked, so he's related to Itachi. Minato confirmed, yes, both of them are from the same clan. Obito appeared intrigued by the mention of Itachi, but Minato quickly redirected the conversation. We can talk after the training, for now, let's get started. Obito, still filled with curiosity, sought clarification. Is he gonna watch us train, sensei? He asked. Minato clarified, no, he'll be training with me after I'm done assisting you with your training. At the end, we'll have a sparring session, as always. Now, enough talking, let's get started. With those words, our training commenced and the day unfolded with promise and adventure. After Minato divided up his students and assigned them tasks, complete with detailed instructions and demonstrations, he strolled over to me with a warm smile on his face. Alright, now that I'm done with them, let's get you started, he said, his eyes filled with anticipation. Eager to embark on my journey as a shinobi, I couldn't help but ask, so, what are we going to be doing first? Minato's expression turned serious as he replied, we will be focusing on training your body initially, and if you still have energy left by the end, I'll help you unlock your chakra. My curiosity piqued, I nodded and inquired, so, how are we going to start? Can chakra help with that? Minato leaned in closer, ready to impart his knowledge. We'll begin with 10 rounds around the clearing to build your physical stamina. But before we get into the physical exercises, it's crucial that you understand how chakra works. Chakra is a complex fusion of two primal energies. The first is physical energy, which is harnessed from the body's cells and can be increased through training, stimulants, and exercise. The second is spiritual energy, drawn from the mind's consciousness and enhanced through studying, meditation, and experience. These two energies, when cultivated effectively, make your chakra more potent. Hence, practicing a technique repeatedly builds experience, increasing your spiritual energy and allowing you to produce more powerful chakra. Similarly, for physical energy, one must enhance their endurance. Some rare individuals possess the potential to exponentially increase their chakra reserves in a relatively short span. I absorbed Minato's explanation and couldn't help but wonder aloud, so, the reason behind the physical exercise is to increase our physical energy. Minato nodded in agreement. Yes, indeed. To augment your physical energy, you must enhance your endurance through exercises and training. Satisfied with the clarification, he asked, is that all? Shall we start with the 10 rounds around the clearing? With a firm nod, I said, let's go. And so, my training commenced. The training ground was quite expansive, roughly spanning a kilometer per round, which meant I had to complete 10 rounds, covering a total distance of approximately 10 kilometers. Determination surged within me as I set off at full speed, the cool breeze brushing against my skin. Surprisingly, it proved to be relatively easy. I finished all 10 rounds without much difficulty and found myself slightly short of breath. It seemed that my Uzumaki lineage from my mother had granted me an inherent advantage. In my previous life, I wouldn't have been able to complete a single round, let alone 10, with energy to spare. Good job, Kyoto. You did great, Minato exclaimed, his approval filling me with a sense of accomplishment. Now, let's move on to the rest of your training. My heart raced with anticipation as he outlined the next phase of our training regimen. 50 push-ups, followed by 50 sit-ups, then 50 pull-ups, 50 squats, and finally, 50 lunges. Hearing those words, my initial determination was momentarily replaced by a wave of trepidation. The sheer volume of exercises he had just described seemed daunting. However, I quickly replaced my hesitation with a renewed sense of determination. This was the path I had chosen, and I was ready to face whatever challenges it held. With Minato's guidance and encouragement, I tackled each set of exercises one by one. The push-ups tested my upper body strength, the sit-ups engaged my core, the pull-ups demanded my arm and back muscles, the squats worked my legs, and the lunges challenged my balance and stability. As I pushed through the repetitions, I could feel my body growing stronger with each passing moment. The sweat glistened on my skin, and my muscles protested, but I refused to give in to fatigue. Minato watched closely, offering guidance and corrections to ensure that I maintained proper form and technique throughout. His presence served as a constant reminder of the importance of discipline and dedication in the path of a shinobi. As I completed the last lunge, a wave of exhaustion washed over me, but it was accompanied by a profound sense of accomplishment. I had pushed my limits and emerged stronger for it. Minato's voice broke through my reverie, praising my effort. Impressive, Kyoto. You've completed the first phase of your physical training admirably. With a grateful smile, I replied, thank you, Tu-chan. I couldn't have done it without your guidance. Minato's eyes held a glint of pride as he said, we're just getting started. Now, it's time to move on to the next aspect of your training. As I caught my breath and prepared for what lay ahead, Minato began explaining the importance of balance and agility in a shinobi's skill set. He emphasized that mastering these attributes would be crucial for a wide range of missions, from reconnaissance to combat. He also emphasized the significance of adaptability, explaining that a shinobi must be prepared to face various terrains and situations. With this in mind, Minato introduced a series of exercises designed to enhance my balance and agility. These exercises included walking on narrow wires, traversing uneven terrain, and even practicing acrobatic flips and rolls. As I attempted these exercises, it became clear that balance and agility were skills that required both physical and mental finesse. Each step on a narrow wire demanded precise control of my body, while navigating uneven terrain tested my ability to adapt quickly. The acrobatic maneuvers challenged not only my physical capabilities, but also my mental focus and spatial awareness. Throughout this phase of training, Minato remained a patient and encouraging instructor. He offered guidance on proper technique and provided constructive feedback to help me improve. It was evident that he was invested in my growth as a shinobi, and I was determined to meet his expectations. As the days went on, I continued to train diligently, gradually honing my balance and agility to a level that satisfied Minato's exacting standards. Alongside these physical exercises, the day had been long and grueling. Kaido had pushed his limits under the watchful gaze of his father, Minato, performing a series of physically demanding tasks. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Kaido lay on the ground, gasping for breath. Above him, Minato looked down with a mixture of pride and affection. You did exceptionally well, Kaido, especially for your first day, Minato complimented, his voice filled with warmth. Kaido managed a tired but content smile. Of course, Tu-chan. I'm determined to surpass you one day. The praise from his father was a reward in itself, but Kaido's ultimate goal was to stand as an equal to the legendary Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. Minato chuckled softly in response, a twinkle in his eye. You'll have to train very hard to achieve that, but I look forward to the day it happens. Extending a hand to his son, he offered to help him up. With a grateful nod, Kaido accepted the assistance, his legs feeling like jelly. Together, they made their way to a nearby tree, seeking its shade and the comfort it offered. Under the tree's cool embrace, Minato proposed, you should rest a bit, Kaido. Afterward, I'll help you unlock your chakra. As Kaido lay under the tree, his strength slowly returned. He watched the play of leaves in the breeze, his thoughts focused on the exciting prospect of unlocking his chakra. When Minato returned, Kaido was ready to learn. He looked up at his father with curiosity and asked, so, how do I unlock my chakra, Tu-chan? Minato's laughter filled the air. You're still so full of energy, huh? Maybe we should consider increasing the difficulty of your training, he teased, causing a momentary panic to flash across Kaido's face. However, Minato quickly reassured him, relax, I was just joking. With renewed confidence, Kaido followed his father's guidance. Closing his eyes, he took deep calming breaths, allowing Minato's soothing voice to guide him. To unlock our chakra, Minato explained, we must close our eyes, calm our minds, take deep breaths, and look within ourselves. Feel the warmth at your core and gently coax it to the surface. Kaido followed the instructions diligently. His mind and body grew still as he reached inward, searching for that elusive warmth. Slowly but surely, he felt a surge of power that resonated from deep within him. His chakra flowed through his being like a river, and for the first time, he felt truly connected to this hidden wellspring of energy. Excitement and wonder washed over Kaido as he realized the immense potential within him. He could almost feel the world bending to his will, responding to his newfound power. Minato's soft voice interrupted his reverie, now, gently release it. Obeying his father's guidance, Kaido gradually let go of the chakra he had summoned. When he opened his eyes, he met Minato's proud gaze. Well done, Kaido. You've unlocked your chakra, Minato congratulated him. Minato's smile widened as he continued to mentor his son, explaining that unlocking chakra was just the beginning. The true mastery lay in controlling its flow and manipulating it, a journey that would transform Kaido into a formidable shinobi. To aid Kaido in his training, Minato handed him a simple leaf. This is called the leaf sticking exercise, taught at the academy, Minato instructed. It may seem simple, but it's an effective way to practice chakra control. Your task is to stick the leaf to your forehead using chakra. This will help you regulate your chakra flow and the amount of chakra you use. Apply too much, and it will burn, too little, and it will fall off. I want you to master this exercise. Kaido accepted the challenge with determination. As he attempted to make the leaf adhere to his forehead, he quickly realized that the task was more challenging than it appeared. Focusing his chakra to hold the delicate leaf in place required finesse and precision. Minato watched Kaido's struggles and provided guidance, saying, "It's because you're in Uzumaki, Kaido. Members of the Uzumaki clan tend to have an abundance of chakra, making it more challenging to control." As Kaido continued to practice, Minato called his team for a sparring session. While he trained, Kaido occasionally lost concentration, stealing glances at the intense spar unfolding before him. Minato displayed remarkable skill, sparing no mercy as he decisively defeated his students. As they finished, Kaido's attention was diverted once more. A gentle voice called out to him, and Kaido turned to see his mother, Kushina, approaching with a warm smile. She sat beside him and embraced him warmly, asking, "So, Kaido-kun, how was your first day of training?" Kaido leaned into his mother's embrace, comforted by her presence. "It was great, Ka-chan. Tu-chan taught me a lot of things," he replied enthusiastically, sharing the highlights of his day. Minato, seeing Kushina wrapped up his team's training session, beckoned them to join as they enjoyed a nice lunch that Kushina had prepared for them. "It has been a few months since my parents commenced my shinobi training, and I've made substantial progress since then. My training regimen has been intensified to match my swiftly developing skills and abilities. I've successfully mastered the leaf-sticking exercise, though I must admit it took me longer than expected, approximately a month. Additionally, I've delved into the tree-walking exercise, and I take pride in the fact that I achieved mastery in a relatively short span, around just a week." Beyond these chakra control exercises, a few weeks into my training, my parents initiated my taijutsu instruction, involving a series of katas. A unique taijutsu style made by Minato, which my parents have been teaching me, uses the academy's taijutsu style as a base and adapts it to suit his fighting style. This style emphasizes speed and precision, focusing on pressure points, in contrast to the Hyuga clan's gentle fist, which targets chakra points, or Might Guy's taijutsu style, which leans on both power and speed. While some may argue that Minato's taijutsu skills aren't exceptional, I beg to differ. Minato's proficiency in taijutsu is genuinely impressive. Despite the perception that he might be physically frail, his exceptional chakra reserves and control effectively counteract any such notion, greatly augmenting a shinobi's strength and resilience. In terms of speed, Minato's reflexes and reactions surpass even those of the renowned 8 Gates guy. His timing and execution consistently demonstrate precision, even when confronting formidable opponents like A, whose physical abilities eclipse even those of 7 Gates guy in terms of speed and defense. Even without relying on Hiraishin, Minato could effectively evade attacks due to his exceptional reflexes and reactions. However, the use of Hiraishin provides him with an offensive option and enhances his flexibility, particularly when it's challenging to outmaneuver A solely through speed. With Hiraishin, he can swiftly execute surprise attacks from behind, emphasizing the critical role of reflexes and reactions in taijutsu battles. It's not unreasonable to assume that Guy would find it exceedingly difficult to land a hit on Minato in a direct confrontation, even without Minato employing Hiraishin. Minato's reflexes are so acute that he can effortlessly evade any incoming attacks, a feat even more impressive when considering his ability to outpace Obito's movements during their encounter. While it's a known fact that Guy cannot withstand a Rasengan due to the lack of modifications or healing abilities like Obito and Kabuto, a face-off between Minato without Hiraishin and 7 Gates Guy would likely result in Minato's victory. Furthermore, we haven't even factored in Minato's Sage mode for this scenario. When pitted against 8 Gates Guy, it becomes a challenging battle, but one that's likely to conclude swiftly. The key question revolves around whether Guy unleashes all 8 gates from the outset, granting him a staggering 100-fold increase in power over his base mode. While Minato with Hiraishin can effectively evade any attacks Guy hurls at him, he can also maintain a safe distance or redirect Guy's assault, akin to guiding thunder, especially if Guy were to employ the Night Guy technique. Minato could secure a victory without necessarily adopting an offensive stance or tapping into Sage mode. In all honesty, given Minato's space-time abilities and status as the fastest shinobi of his era prior to the emergence of the 6 Paths users, he seems nearly invincible in a taijutsu showdown. Sage mode further bolsters his physical prowess to the point where Guy's capabilities, even with 7 gates, appear akin to those of a genin in pure taijutsu. Ignoring my rant on taijutsu, my training in this discipline is advancing well. According to my Tu-chan, my taijutsu proficiency might surpass that of most academy students. My Ka-chan, who serves as the primary Fuinjutsu expert in our household, has mentioned that she will commence my Fuinjutsu training shortly. I'm particularly excited about this prospect, as she was the one who instructed my Tu-chan and Minato Namikaze's Fuinjutsu techniques. Beyond the developments in my training, several noteworthy events have occurred. For instance, Kakashi was recently promoted to the rank of Jonin. While I cannot confirm whether he is the youngest ever to achieve this distinction, he did attain Jonin status at the age of 13, a milestone that puts him 2 years ahead of my father's pace. This reminds me of the period leading up to the Kanabi Bridge mission. And now, we find ourselves in the present moment, perched on a tree branch with my Kacha-chan Kushina. She has brought lunch for us to enjoy after a rigorous day of training. Together, we are observing Team Minato as they engage in the bell test against their comrades, assessing their progress and strength. The intensity of the battle is reminiscent of scenes from the anime, with the only difference being that Minato is abstaining from utilizing his Hiraishin technique, which would indeed be an overwhelming advantage. A tremendous fireball exploded in the middle of the training field, and a billowing cloud of smoke rose into the air. Minato swiftly leaped back, his feet skidding on the ground as the smoke began to clear. The bell on his waist jingled as he was assailed by yet another fireball, this time coming directly from the front. With remarkable agility, Minato vaulted onto a nearby tree, effortlessly avoiding the smaller fireballs that emanated from the large one. He gracefully shifted his body, dancing around the threats with ease, before swiftly hurling a barrage of shuriken towards the source of the fireball. A shuriken peppered the area where Obito stood, missing him by a mere millimeter and causing him to plummet from the tree he had been perched on. As Obito landed on his backside and looked up, he saw Minato standing atop another tree. Minato declared with confidence, "You're done, Obito." "Darn it," Obito muttered in frustration as he sat on the ground a short distance away. Rin, seizing the opportunity, sprung a trap that sent a massive tree trunk hurtling towards Minato. In a desperate move to conceal his presence, Obito threw a smoke bomb. However, Minato effortlessly evaded the incoming attack and silently commended Rin's strategy, thinking to himself, "Nice strategy." Rin, alert and supportive, pointed out, "Obito, they're at 2 o'clock. "Right," Obito replied, swiftly running through a series of hand signs before releasing another colossal fireball towards the direction Rin had indicated, exclaiming, "Fire style. Fireball jutsu." Minato effortlessly dodged it and reappeared behind them. Minato commented, "Almost had me there." "But, sensei, how did you?" Rin began, her initial shock giving way to resignation as both she and Obito sighed in defeat. "We blew it again," Obito grumbled. Minato thought to himself, "You've grown strong, both of you, and I'm impressed with your teamwork." He now contemplated the next step. Suddenly, a shuriken came hurtling towards him. Minato skillfully deflected it, thinking, "What timing?" Just as he had that thought, Kakashi emerged from the side and attempted to slash at Minato, who effortlessly evaded the attack. "Kakashi!" Both of Minato's students exclaimed, surprised to see him openly attacking their sensei. As Kakashi continued his relentless assault, Minato adeptly evaded and deflected all of his attacks. "Sensei, today's the day I win," Kakashi declared confidently as he pressed on with increased ferocity. Minato, with a serious expression, asked, "You've been biding your time, was that your strategy?" "No, it would be too hard to fight you while watching over those two," Kakashi replied, revealing his true intentions. Realizing Kakashi's plan, Minato acknowledged, "That's why you were waiting for me to defeat them." Kakashi then sprung a trap, causing the ground to explode with paper bombs. It seemed as though the explosion had consumed Minato, but he reappeared on a tree branch with hardly a scratch. As soon as he reached the branch, he was faced with a volley of shuriken, which he deflected with grace. At that moment, Kakashi materialized behind him, attempting to kick him, but Minato swiftly blocked the attack. Kakashi continued to engage Minato in a bout of taijutsu, but Minato effortlessly evaded all of Kakashi's moves. During this exchange, Kakashi was briefly able to touch the bells. "Not bad, Kakashi, but not enough to beat me," Minato said with a smirk after pushing Kakashi away. "I'm not through yet, sensei," Kakashi retorted, disappearing in a puff of smoke, revealing himself to be a shadow clone. "The shadow clone," Minato remarked with a smile, standing confidently. "This isn't complete," but Kakashi said as he formed hand signs, channeling chakra into his hand, generating lightning. "Now, I'll finish this," Kakashi declared. "I told you, didn't I? You can't beat me," a voice came from behind Kakashi, who turned only to find Minato standing behind him, a kunai poised at his neck. "You lose, Kakashi." "Wow, what incredible speed," Kakashi muttered, looking back at the spot where Minato had previously stood. "I'd already consider you Jonin class, but you're not ready," Minato stated as he stood there. "I was so close," Kakashi growled in frustration. Soon, Rin and Obito joined them, and as Minato concluded the bell test. As the bell test was concluded, me and Kushina made our way over to the team with the lunch she had prepared for us. "But did you actually hit me?" Minato said, his gaze fixed on his sleeve, where a small cut had appeared. "Oh, hitting sensei. That's amazing, Kakashi," Rin exclaimed, her eyes locked on Kakashi. Kakashi, however, seemed somewhat disappointed with his performance as he replied, "It was only one hit. It isn't all that praiseworthy." Obito, feeling a bit left out as Kakashi received all the attention, whined to Rin, "I could do it too, you know." Kushina playfully placed the food basket on his head and asked with a grin, "Nice timing, right?" Rin, delighted to see Kushina, exclaimed, "Kushina, yeah. Wow, 2-chan, you're so cool," I chimed in as Kushina chatted with the others. Hearing my words, Minato smiled and replied, well, I did train a lot to be this strong. And if you continue to train as you are, you will surpass me in no time. Kushina, with her warm and encouraging spirit, asked them all, are you all doing your best? To which Minato responded, they're doing great. We were just about to take a break. That's good to hear. Here's lunch, Kushina offered, presenting the meal she had prepared. Here's your order, it's Kushina's special. Alright, I love the food you make, Kushina. Thanks, Rin expressed her gratitude, and Kushina couldn't help but coo, you're so cute, Rin. You're such a good girl, you know. Obito, on the other hand, turned his nose up in an attempt to distance himself. Seeing his reaction, Kushina couldn't resist teasing him, let me get this straight. I take the time to bring lunch all the way out here to you guys, and that's the kind of thanks I get from you, Obito tried to maintain his indifference, retorting, hey, I didn't ask you to do that. I'm not even hungry. However, his stomach had different plans and growled loudly, embarrassing him. As we settled down to enjoy Kushina's specially prepared lunch, the atmosphere became more relaxed. The food was a testament to her culinary skills, and I couldn't help but savor each bite. It was moments like these that made me appreciate the bonds we shared as a team and as friends. Rin, always the cheerful one, broke the silence as she commented, you know, Minato-sensei, it's moments like these that make all the hard work worth it. Minato nodded in agreement, a contented smile on his face. You're absolutely right, Rin. Training is essential, but so is taking the time to enjoy the company of friends. Obito, who had initially been sulking, seemed to brighten up a bit. Yeah, you guys are lucky to have each other. I guess I'm lucky too, he mumbled, his usual cocky demeanor softened by a hint of vulnerability. Kushina, ever perceptive, reached over and tousled Obito's hair playfully. Of course, you're lucky, Obito. We're all here for each other, no matter what. As I observed this interaction, I couldn't help but reflect on my own thoughts. I had never gotten too close to Obito, knowing what he would ultimately become. But witnessing him now, I struggled to reconcile the idea that this Obito would one day become the Masked Man. He seemed so weak, so far removed from the power that the Masked Man had displayed. Hashirama's cells and his Mangekyo Sharingan were incredibly overpowered, and without those boosts, it was hard to imagine Obito achieving even a fraction of what the Masked Man had accomplished. Was Rin's death the sole catalyst for Obito's transformation, or had Madara played a more significant role in his descent into darkness? These questions had haunted me for some time, and observing Obito in his current state only deepened the mystery. It was difficult to fathom how someone with such could fall so far. A few days after their training session, Minato and his team received a summons to the Hokage's office for a crucial mission. Kakashi was assigned to lead a mission to destroy the Kanabi Bridge, while Minato himself was tasked with engaging the Stone Village army on the front lines, a battle that had pushed the Leaf Village to the brink of defeat. As the departure time neared, a small crowd gathered at the village gates, among them Team Minato. Kushina and I were there to see them off. Amid heartfelt farewells and some stern words from Kushina, who warned Obito against recklessness, Minato posed a question, are you ready? In unison, his team responded, yes, sensei. Turning towards us, Minato added, Kushina, Kaido see you soon. Kushina chimed in, take care and give it your all, everyone. Kakashi and Rin nodded in response, while Obito seemed less interested. Kushina then turned her attention to Obito. And you, Obito. Obito raised an eyebrow, his face showing irritation. What's it now? With a serious expression, Kushina continued, you can be clumsy, rash, a bit of a bumbler, and let's not forget, a knucklehead. So, be extra cautious out there. Because if you come back hurt, you won't just get my fist. Got that? Obito lowered his head, but a wry grin crept onto his face. Who do you think I am, anyway? I'm going to become Hokage, Lord Obito Uchiha. So don't worry, there's nothing to be concerned about. I'll ensure the mission's success and bring everyone back without a scratch. That's a promise. He declared confidently. Kushina smiled in response. You better keep that promise, she said, and they both shared a laugh as we watched. I turned to Minato and embraced him tightly. Please, be careful. I don't know why, but please, just be careful, okay? Minato returned the hug and reassured me with a smile, saying, don't worry, we'll be fine. After a few more exchanged words, they embarked on their mission. Kushina and I stood there in silence, watching them disappear into the horizon. I hope they'll be alright, I said to Kushina. They'll be fine. They're strong, you know, Kushina replied with a reassuring smile. Over the past few days, I had subtly hinted at my concern to both Minato and Kushina about the mission. I was fully aware that this moment marked the turning point when Obito would be recruited by Madara and Zetsu, a pivotal event in the Naruto timeline. Preventing this occurrence could potentially change the course of many future events, including the Nine Tails attack. A few days after departing from the village hidden in the leaves, Team Minato found themselves at the border of the Land of Fire and the Land of Grass. During the journey, Minato explained the situation to the team. As of today, Kakashi has become a Jonin like me, said Minato. We'll split into 2 units led by Kakashi and myself in order to give us the best chance of success. We are suffering from the biggest lack of manpower the Hidden Leaf Village has ever seen, remember, explained Minato. Kakashi will be the captain of a 3-man squad with you and Rin, Obito. Actually, Obito, remember our talk about giving Kakashi a present? Rin asked Obito. Sorry, I wasn't listening, said Obito with a scowl. This is my gift, a custom-made kunai knife just like the one I carry. It's sort of heavy and odd-shaped, but once you get accustomed to it, it's easy to use, Minato added. Rin then handed Kakashi her gift, saying, and this is from me. Here, I made a personalized med kit for you, Kakashi. I adjusted things a little to make it easier to use. Yeah, thanks, replied Kakashi, then looked at Obito with an expectant expression. What about you, Obito? Asked Rin. Embarrassed, Obito replied, if you were expecting a gift from me, you can forget it. Well, I wasn't expecting anything from you anyway. It probably would have just been a piece of junk. Useless crap like that would just be excess baggage, Kakashi said. Kakashi, you just wait until my Sharingan awakens. Said Obito, clearly offended by Kakashi's remark. Oh, come on. Don't start fighting, pleaded Rin. Seeing things getting out of hand, Minato intervened. Alright, you 3, come here, I'll explain the mission. We're getting close to the border now, said Minato as he laid a map on the ground. It's this line here. According to intel, the Hidden Stone has deployed over 1,000 shinobi to the front lines. They've advanced considerably since the last time, noted Obito. The Land of Fire shares borders with the Hidden Grass. We should have stepped in long ago, surmised Kakashi. If the Hidden Stone is able to invade like this, it must mean they have an efficient system for reinforcement, commented Rin. Hence, our mission is here Kanabi Bridge. To crush one's enemy at the battlefront requires an immense number of ninja. So ninja like us who focus on sabotage missions are forced to work in small, select teams, said Minato. The bridge you say? So our mission is infiltration, said Kakashi. Right. Team Kakashi, your mission is to infiltrate the enemy's backline, then blow up the bridge they're using for supplies before withdrawing. Meanwhile, I'll head for the front lines to hold off the army, said Minato. So, we'll go together towards the border, but once we're there, we'll split up and begin our mission, he added, looking at his team and thinking, hope everything goes well. I'll have to finish up at the front lines fast and head back to assist them. After a much-needed rest, Minato and his team were on the move again, headed towards the shared border with the Hidden Grass. This mission marked Kakashi's first time as a team leader, and Minato saw it as an opportunity for him to gain valuable experience. Kakashi took the lead, his senses sharp and alert. But it didn't take long for him to come to a halt, prompting Obito and Rin to stop and scan their surroundings as well. Nice, Kakashi, Minato thought to himself, his keen senses having detected the presence of an enemy ninja moments before. Perched atop a sturdy tree, a ninja from the Hidden Stone concealed himself, patiently waiting to ambush the Konoha shinobi. As he observed them closely, he couldn't help but acknowledge their skill. His gaze focused on Minato, and a flicker of recognition crossed his mind. Is that no, it can't be. I'll keep a close watch, he decided, forming a series of hand signs with precision. Minato, his finger lightly touching the ground, extended his sensory perception, trying to gauge the number of enemy ninjas lurking in the vicinity. No, wait. Stay on guard, everyone. There are 20 of them, Minato warned, his eyes scanning their surroundings. Although it's probably a shadow clone jutsu. Kakashi, eager to make his mark as the team captain, urged, I think you're right, sensei. I'll attack. Can you cover me? Minato, however, advised caution, don't rush, Kakashi. It might be wiser for you to support me. But Kakashi, fueled by ambition and a desire to prove himself, ignored Minato's counsel. He began weaving hand signs, infusing his palm with crackling lightning chakra. Sensei, today I'm the captain, and I want to test a new ninjutsu I've been working on, he declared with determination, naming his jutsu, Chidori. The chorus of 1,000 birds seemed to echo through the clearing as Kakashi completed the jutsu, his hand enveloped in a shroud of lightning chakra. Obito, bewildered by the spectacle, couldn't help but mutter, what kind of jutsu is that? His eyes were fixed on Kakashi. Rin, her gaze filled with awe, marveled at the incredible surge of chakra. Such power, she whispered. Here I go, Kakashi declared, ready to charge towards the enemy. However, Minato intervened, swiftly placing his hand in front of Kakashi, preventing him from advancing. No matter how many they are, with this jutsu, I can deal with them in a flash. Reminiscent of your nickname, sensei. Besides, you said it yourself. I'm the captain today, and our rules dictate that the team must follow their captain's orders, Kakashi asserted, a hint of arrogance in his tone. Recognizing that some lessons needed to be learned the hard way, Minato reluctantly allowed Kakashi to proceed. With Chidori at his disposal, Kakashi made his move, charging headlong at the enemy in a straight line. The Iowa shinobi, taken aback by Kakashi's direct approach, swiftly unleashed a barrage of kunai towards him. Minato, quick to react, intercepted the projectiles with well-aimed shurikens, protecting Kakashi from harm. Your kunai attacks just helped me pinpoint your location. Here I come, Kakashi thought confidently as he continued his advance toward the Iowa ninja. Minato, seizing the opportunity, threw another shuriken to divert the enemy's attention, allowing Kakashi to strike. But to their surprise, the enemy ninja exploded in a puff of smoke. Damn it. A shadow clone on to the next one. Kakashi exclaimed as he pivoted towards the next adversary. Meanwhile, Obito and Rin found themselves ambushed by a shadow clone emerging from the ground, but Minato swiftly dispatched it using his kunai. Stay vigilant, he cautioned. Kakashi, meanwhile, systematically dismantled the remaining shadow clones, counting them off one by one. 18 down. Don't get cocky, brat. Shouted the Iowa shinobi as he advanced, slashing his katana at Kakashi. Kakashi, unable to evade in time, faced a deadly blade. It was poised to cleave him in two when Minato materialized out of thin air, saving Kakashi's life. Though Kakashi escaped the worst, a minor cut marred his arm as he retreated. Minato positioned Kakashi safely on the ground beside his teammates. A short distance away, the Iowa shinobi gasped for breath, his thoughts racing. I could barely hold my own against that kid. But that yellow-haired guy's movements. I've marked him, Minato mused as he removed his backpack, letting it drop to the ground. Before the bag even touched the earth, Minato materialized behind the Iowa shinobi, a kunai pressed against his throat. Sensei's teleportation technique, it's unbelievably fast. Rin thought in astonishment. And no way, are you the yellow flash of the leaf? The Iowa shinobi asked in terror. Those of us from the land of Earth have been taught by our commanders to run when we see you. I finally understand what they meant. With those words, Minato ended the Iowa shinobi's life. Rejoining his team, Rin focused on healing Kakashi's wound. Your wound is healing well, Kakashi, but don't push yourself too hard or you'll reopen it, she cautioned as she carefully rebandaged him. Minato addressed the team, Kakashi's injury is significant. We'll retreat and regroup for the night. I'm fine. Kakashi protested, but Obito countered, no, you're not. You got into this mess by ignoring Sensei's warning and charging ahead. Kakashi's eyes flared with indignation. I don't need to take that from the Uchiha elite who was quaking in fear back there. He retorted, casting a disdainful look at Obito. Obito, caught off guard, defended himself, saying, I got some dust in my eye. That's why it was watering. Rin intervened, her voice pleading for peace. Please, both of you, stop. Minato's tone turned serious as he stepped in, putting an end to their bickering. Enough, both of you. Kakashi, rules and regulations are important, but they aren't everything. Didn't I teach you that? There are situations where you need to adapt on the fly and respond to the enemy's actions. He then turned to Obito, who seemed about to speak. Obito, you too. With goggles on, dust in your eyes isn't a plausible excuse. If you're advocating self-control, you should embody it as well. Returning his attention to Kakashi, he added, one more thing, Kakashi. I strongly advise against using that jutsu again. Your concentrated, high-speed attack is undeniably powerful, but it leaves you vulnerable to counterattacks. It's an imperfect jutsu, and I don't want to see you put your life on the line unnecessarily. Minato then addressed the entire team with a profound message. Remember, above all else, a shinobi's most critical asset is teamwork. Deciding to rest for the night in order for Kakashi to heal a bit more, later on, during Minato's watch, Obito learned from Minato about the tragic fate of Kakashi's father and why Kakashi was so hell-bent on rules. The next morning, Rin checked up on Kakashi and said, it's healing well. But don't overexert yourself or you'll reopen the wound while rebandaging Kakashi. The following morning brought a fresh start, with the team ready to resume their mission. Minato gathered them and announced their next course of action. From this point forward, we'll be splitting up. I wish you all the best of luck. The enemy we encountered yesterday was operating alone, but now we'll be facing teams. Stay vigilant. Obito, a hint of embarrassment in his voice, spoke up, let's go, Captain. Minato, offering a warm smile, responded, indeed. Let's go. Scatter. With that, Minato and Team Kakashi dispersed, each member sprinting in a different direction. As Minato dashed towards the front lines, a sense of unease gnawed at him. I must conclude matters quickly at the front and then rush to their aid. I hope everything unfolds smoothly, he pondered, increasing his speed as he neared the impending battle. The days since Team Minato had embarked on their mission had been a whirlwind of anxiety for me. My hope rested on a subtle hint I had dropped, wishing that Minato would exercise utmost caution during the mission. I prayed fervently that he would arrive punctually to rescue Obito and thwart Madara's sinister plans to capture Obito. Despite my efforts to maintain a cheerful facade, my unease must have been evident to Kushina. She had taken it upon herself to keep me occupied with training and had finally consented to introduce me to the art of Fuinjutsu, something I had been pestering both Minato and her to teach me for quite some time. It was a typical morning after my rigorous training session under Kushina's watchful eye when she, with a teasing grin, proposed, "Say, Kaido-kun, since you've been so diligent in your training lately, what do you say I start teaching you Fuinjutsu?" My face erupted with excitement upon hearing her words. "Really? You'll finally start teaching me Fuinjutsu?" I exclaimed with genuine enthusiasm. This was the moment I had eagerly awaited for years. In my previous life, information about Fuinjutsu had been scarce, except for the knowledge that the Uzumaki clan were its masters. The clan had been destroyed out of fear of their power. Fuinjutsu was known to be challenging to learn, yet its techniques were incredibly potent and versatile. Some of the most renowned jutsu in the shinobi world were Fuinjutsu based, including the Hiraishin no Jutsu, Impure World Reincarnation, Byakume no In, Shikifujin, and many more. The fact that I would be learning from one of the last Uzumaki Fuinjutsu masters was the icing on the cake. When she nodded in affirmation, I couldn't help but ask, "Can we start now?" Kushina couldn't hide her amusement at my eagerness. "Oh, someone's eager, I see," she chuckled. "We can start right after lunch." With that, she turned and strolled toward the house. After we returned home and had our lunch, I followed Kushina to her home office, which I had affectionately dubbed the Fuinjutsu room. This was where she spent most of her time when not taking care of me or when she left me in the care of a shadow clone. Since Kushina wasn't permitted to leave the village on missions, she worked on seals for the Hidden Leaf village as the head of the sealing barrier division. She gathered a few materials and then led me to the living room. "We'll start with your calligraphy. Until your calligraphy is up to scratch, I won't be teaching you any Fuinjutsu. Understand?" Kushina said with a stern expression on her face. And so began a long day of painstaking work as I labored to improve my calligraphy, discovering that Kushina could be quite the taskmaster when it came to teaching sealing techniques. It took 3 days of rigorous practice for Kushina to finally approve of my calligraphy skills as acceptable for diving into the art of sealing. During this time, I also gained valuable insights into the differences between Uzumaki-style Fuinjutsu and other Fuinjutsu from Kushina. In the show, it had been mentioned that Minato had learned the Uzumaki style from her, but now I had the opportunity to understand it more deeply. From what I could glean from Kushina's teachings, Fuinjutsu was akin to programming, with each village having its own unique style, much like different programming languages. The Uzumaki style was renowned as the most advanced form of Fuinjutsu, and this explained why Minato had been able to recreate the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Few individuals, after Tobirama, had successfully mastered it, and other nations had failed to replicate it despite having access to Minato's kunai. The secret lay in the fact that it was written in the Uzumaki style, a style that Tobirama had learned from Mito and Minato had learned from Kushina. Without knowledge of this unique style, others couldn't decipher its secrets. Kushina's insights into the intricacies of Fuinjutsu fascinated me. It was clear that mastering this art would not only enhance my skills, but also grant me a deeper understanding of the shinobi world's hidden mechanisms. With Kushina as my mentor, I felt privileged to embark on this journey of discovery. As our training progressed, Kushina introduced me to the fundamental principles of Fuinjutsu. She emphasized the importance of precision, patience, and concentration in mastering this complex art. Each seal was a carefully crafted arrangement of symbols, and the slightest error could have catastrophic consequences. Kushina recounted stories of disastrous Fuinjutsu mishaps, highlighting the gravity of the discipline we were delving into. One sunny afternoon, as I sat cross-legged in the living room, Kushina began to explain the basics of seal construction. She took out a scroll filled with intricate diagrams and symbols. Fuinjutsu is not just about inscribing random symbols on a surface, she began, her eyes gleaming with knowledge. It's a precise science that requires deep understanding and meticulous attention to detail. I watched intently as she unrolled the scroll and pointed to a complex seal formation. "This is a basic containment seal," she explained. "It's used to trap or seal objects, substances, or even chakra. The effectiveness of such a seal depends on the accuracy of its construction and the intent behind it." Kushina went on to demonstrate the process of creating a containment seal step by step. She emphasized the importance of maintaining a calm and focused mind during the process. "Your chakra control is crucial in Fuinjutsu," she said. "It's what empowers the seal and gives it its function. The energy you infuse into the symbols must be consistent and balanced." I observed as Kushina carefully applied her chakra to the seal, her movements deliberate and graceful. The symbols seemed to come to life under her touch, glowing faintly with a soft, ethereal light. It was a mesmerizing sight, and I couldn't help but feel a surge of admiration for her mastery of this art. After completing the demonstration, Kushina handed me a blank scroll and a set of specialized ink and brushes. "Now it's your turn," she said, her tone encouraging. Start by drawing the basic shapes and symbols that make up the containment seal. Remember, precision is key. I took a deep breath and began to replicate the symbols I had seen in her demonstration. It was a challenging task, requiring utmost concentration and a steady hand. Each stroke had to be perfect, and I found myself erasing and redoing several times before I was satisfied with my work. Ashina watched patiently as I struggled, offering guidance and corrections when necessary. Fuinjutsu is an art that demands patience and practice, she reminded me. Don't be discouraged by initial setbacks. Mastery comes with time and dedication. As the hours passed, I continued to refine my skills under Kushina's guidance. Minato departed with his team and made his way towards the front lines, where the Hidden Leaf Shinobi were under attack by the Hidden Stone Shinobi army. He increased his pace so that he would be able to provide assistance to his team, who were tasked with destroying the Kanabi Bridge. As he raced through the dense forest, he caught a glimpse of a massive earth release jutsu going off on the battlefield. The battle was in full swing. Minato reached the battlefield and quickly ascertained the dire situation. The Hidden Leaf Shinobi were under constant bombardment from a relentless barrage of earth release jutsu, forcing them into a defensive stance. The Hidden Stone Village was on the verge of victory, and only 4 Hidden Leaf Shinobi had survived the onslaught of attacks and were taking cover behind a trench, holding on for backup to arrive. Minato swiftly moved through the chaos of battle, skillfully avoiding the attacks aimed at him, and made his way to the trench where the surviving Hidden Leaf Shinobi had taken cover. Seeing Minato, one of the men said, "You finally came." Reaching them, Minato asked, "What is the situation?" "I'd say there are about 200 of the enemy. Compared to that, there are just 4 of us alive." Hearing that, Minato placed 2 fingers on the ground and used his keen senses to confirm the situation. There were approximately 200 foes, preparing for another large-scale attack. Sensing the urgency of the situation, Minato took off his backpack and unsealed some scrolls containing his marked kunai, handing them to the remaining Hidden Leaf Shinobi. He instructed them to throw the kunai towards the enemy all at once, saying, "Everyone, please direct these kunai towards the enemy all at once, I will take care of the rest." Saying that, Minato stood up and faced the direction of the enemy, forming a ram hand sign to gather his chakra. One of the Hidden Leaf Shinobi couldn't help but exclaim, "That's crazy. Not even you could." But he was promptly silenced by the man who had given Minato the report, "Shut up and do as he says. We're about to witness the yellow flash of the Hidden Leaf in battle, it'll happen in a flash. Don't miss it." Humbled by the anticipation of witnessing Minato's legendary skills in action, the remaining Hidden Leaf Shinobi followed his orders. On the other side of the battlefield, the Hidden Stone Shinobi were all in high spirits, convinced that victory was within their grasp. They stood ready, awaiting their commander's order for their final attack that would give them the victory on this battlefield. "It'll all be over soon. We will attack at once." Hearing that, all of them nodded. As the Hidden Stone's commander was about to give the order, a massive barrage of kunai flew in from the other side of the battlefield. Seeing the incoming kunai, they easily avoided them, and one of the Hidden Stone Shinobi said arrogantly, "Heh, they think this can kill us. It must be their last desperate attack." This got a chorus of laughter from the other shinobi. But only their commander had noticed the different shape of the kunai and panicked. "And no, it can't be, everyone retreat now," shouted the commander as the realization dawned on him. Hearing his panicked shout, the shinobi under him were confused, but before they could react, Minato took a deep breath and opened his eyes, saying calmly, "Here I go." With that, he disappeared from the sight of the Hidden Leaf Shinobi. What followed suit was absolute carnage. One after another, the Hidden Stone Shinobi fell one after another, dropping lifeless to the ground. The attack was coming from everywhere and all at once. Witnessing their comrades falling like leaves, the remaining shinobi panicked and tried to flee from the battlefield. But it was to no avail as they were all cut down in a matter of seconds. The Hidden Leaf Shinobi, observing from their vantage point, could only see flashes of yellow as it appeared and disappeared, leaving behind the dead bodies in its path. Just as it had started, it had finished. All the enemy shinobi were dealt with in a matter of seconds. The shinobi that who questioned Minato's actions just a moment ago was stunned. So this is the prowess of the yellow flash of the leaf. As the massacre ended, Minato appeared where he had stood, in a crouching position, as he was breathing heavily. "It's done, I had to use a considerable amount of chakra," he thought, sighing in relief. "I'll have to rest before I head out to assist Kakashi and the others." Seeing Minato, the surviving Hidden Leaf Shinobi rushed towards him in joy, as they had won the battle. Minato met them with a smile on his face, happy that he was able to help his comrades and protect his village. He knew that the war was far from over, but this victory was a step. News travels quickly in our village of Konoha. It has been several days since Team Minato departed on their perilous mission, and I've been a nervous wreck ever since they left. My hope rests heavily on Minato, praying that he made it in time to save Obito from falling into the clutches of Madara. Days seemed to drag on as I tried to keep myself occupied with intensive training, and it was during this time that my Kachan, Kushina, introduced me to art of Fuinjutsu, a skill that she believed came naturally to me due to my Uzumaki lineage. As the days passed, I spent my time refining my skills and learning more about Fuinjutsu, a subject that piqued my interest. Kushina was an excellent teacher, and her Uzumaki heritage seemed to have passed down some innate talent for this particular branch of jutsu. I delved deep into the intricate seals and patterns, finding solace in the complexity of it all. During one of those long days, we received a wave of news that rippled through the village like a tidal wave, news about the developments on the Hidden Stone front. The news was nothing short of astonishing. The report stated that Minato had single-handedly decimated the Hidden Stone forces and turned the tide of the battle, pulling Konoha back from the brink of defeat to a resounding victory. The news spread through the village like wildfire, and it seemed like everyone was celebrating, none more so than Kushina herself. She was not only relieved that Minato was safe, but also intrigued by the possibilities that this victory might bring. The village was filled with an exuberant spirit in the days that followed, and rumors began to circulate around the village that the Hidden Stone had suffered devastating losses in the war against the Hidden Leaf and might be inclined to agree to a ceasefire. I couldn't help but recall that this event had transpired similarly in the original story, where the Hidden Stone eventually agreed to a ceasefire. But as they say, good news is often followed by bad news. A week later, Minato and his team returned to Konoha, and my Kachan and I were at the village gate, eagerly awaiting their arrival. We had received information about their return date, and as they came into view, my heart sank. Minato led the way, with Team Minato trailing behind, but there was a conspicuous absence among them. Obito. My heart clenched in my chest as I realized that things had unfolded just as they did in the original canon. Obito had been recruited by Madara and Zetsu. The somber expressions on their faces confirmed the heartbreaking reality. My Kachan, Kushina, upon seeing Obito's absence, burst into tears and rushed to comfort Minato. Later, Minato explained what had transpired during their mission. It was an eerie parallel to the original story, where Rin was kidnapped and Obito had given his life to save Kakashi. Kakashi was consumed by guilt, blaming himself for the tragedy that had unfolded. Rin, too, was devastated, and it was heartbreaking to see her in such pain. However, it was Kakashi who seemed to bear the heaviest emotional burden. His demeanor had undergone a significant transformation. Previously, he had been known for his arrogance and his strict adherence to rules, but now, he was a changed man. He became more detached and wore an aura of sadness around him. Rin, on the other hand, struggled to come to terms with the loss of her best friend, but she would eventually find the strength to move forward. Despite the victory over the Hidden Stone, Konoha was far from being at peace. The village was still embroiled in a brutal conflict with the Hidden Cloud, Hidden Mist, and Hidden Sand villages. After only a few days of rest, Minato was dispatched to the front lines in the Hidden Cloud region, leaving a heavy sense of foreboding in his wake. For me, this turn of events held a grave significance. It meant that Obito would undoubtedly come after my Kachan, Kushina, on the day of Naruto's birth, seeking to capture the Nine Tails. I knew I had to take matters into my own hands and come up with a plan to alert Minato to the impending danger on the day of Naruto's birth to prevent the death of my parents. I couldn't afford to lose them. The safety of my family and my village depended on it. To ensure that my plan was executed flawlessly, I needed to consider every detail and every contingency. The first step was to gather information about Obito's movements. I would have to be more observant, always keeping a watchful eye on any signs of his presence or activities in the village. I also remembered that he would visit the village frequently during Kushina's pregnancy and spy on Kakashi when he came to the village. It had been several months since Obito had been recruited by Madara and Zetsu. During this time, a multitude of significant events had unfolded. Firstly, the Third Great Shinobi War was gradually nearing its conclusion, and the toll it had taken on the various ninja villages was immense. Counting the losses suffered by each village, it was evident that this conflict had been brutal and devastating. Villages were left grappling with the aftermath of fierce battles, the loss of precious comrades, and the destruction of their homes and resources. The war had not only tested the mettle of the shinobi, but it also left an indelible mark on the very landscape of the ninja world. The conflict with the Hidden Stone village had finally drawn to a close, with both sides agreeing to a ceasefire. However, the decision made by Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, not to demand reparations from the Hidden Stone, had far-reaching consequences for his political standing. If memory serves correctly, this particular choice played a pivotal role in his eventual decision to step down from his position as Hokage. The fallout from this decision was twofold. On one hand, it was seen as an act of goodwill and an attempt to foster peace and reconciliation in the tumultuous times of the Third Great Shinobi War. On the other hand, there was a significant faction that criticized Hiruzen for what they saw as a missed opportunity to secure reparations for the heavy losses Konoha had suffered under his leadership during the war. This controversy surrounding Hiruzen's choices added to the mounting pressure he faced, ultimately contributing to his decision to relinquish the title of Hokage. The ongoing war with the Hidden Cloud Village continued to be a challenging endeavor for the Hidden Leaf Village. However, ever since Minato joined the Hidden Cloud Front, the situation had started to improve. His strategic acumen and formidable abilities had made it notably easier for the Hidden Leaf forces to contend with the Hidden Cloud Village. Rumors had begun to circulate regarding the demise of the Third Raikage, and they added a layer of intrigue to the ongoing conflict. According to these rumors, the Third Raikage had met his end in a heroic battle against a vast army of 10,000 shinobi from the Hidden Mist Village. Allegedly, he had held them at bay for an astonishing 3 days, allowing his team to retreat safely. However, I and many others are skeptical about the authenticity of these rumors. The notion that one could fend off 10,000 shinobi for 3 consecutive days was met with incredulity. It was argued that such a feat would place the Third Raikage on par with legendary figures like Madara and Hashirama. If that were the case, it stood to reason that he could have single-handedly turned the tide of the war by decimating entire armies, much like Minato had done with approximately 200 shinobi against Hidden Stone Village. As such, doubts persisted, with some believing that these rumors were merely a ploy by the Hidden Cloud Village to embellish the circumstances of their leader's demise and perhaps ease their ongoing hostilities. On the front of the Hidden Mist, the Hidden Leaf Village was also asserting its dominance, a triumph that followed the dramatic defeat of the 7 ninja swordsmen at the hands of Might Dai, who happened to be none other than Might Guy's father. The battlefield bore witness to an extraordinary showdown where Might Dai valiantly clashed with and ultimately vanquished half the members of the formidable 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist. This astonishing feat was achieved through Might Dai's audacious decision to unleash the formidable power concealed within the Eighth Gate, an act undertaken with the sole purpose of buying precious time for his beloved son and their steadfast teammates, Genma Shiranui and Abisu, who had been cornered and faced dire circumstances. Amidst these tumultuous events, Kakashi and Rin, who had been grappling with the profound sorrow stemming from the loss of their comrade Obito, were assigned to join the fray on the Hidden Mist front. It would be during this period, to the best of my recollection, that the fated abduction of Rin Nahara would unfold. This abduction would ultimately lead to her becoming a host for the Three Tails, her mind manipulated, and her life cruelly taken at the hand of the person she loved by jumping in front of an attack that Kakashi was about to use. This brutal sequence of events was orchestrated with precision by Zetsu and Madara behind the scenes, all in the hopes that Obito awakens his Mangekyou Sharingan and embraces the vision of an ideal world through the fabled Mugen Tsukiyomi that Madara had proposed. Regrettably, I find myself powerless to alter the course of these events, for they were meticulously devised by the insidious duo of Zetsu and Madara, who had exerted their control over the Hidden Mist. The exact timing of these events remains shrouded in uncertainty, leaving me with only a vague notion of when they are slated to unfold. On a serene morning within the village hidden in the leaves, nestled a few kilometers away from the village center, a secluded training ground witnessed the presence of 2 figures. One was a youthful individual, distinguished by a cascade of vibrant red hair. Beside him stood a man with a striking shock of yellow hair, renowned as the legendary Yellow Flash of the Hidden Leaf. The young one, now lying on the ground, panted heavily. He was none other than Kaido Uzumaki, the son of the legendary shinobi. "That's enough for today, Kaido," spoke Minato, his gaze fixed on his son, who lay on his back, struggling to catch his breath. "Nah, I can still go on," asserted the determined youngster, mustering shaky resolve as he pushed himself up from the ground, meeting his father's gaze. Witnessing this, Minato let out a sigh, addressing his son with a tone of admonishment. "You've been pushing yourself too hard these past few months, Kaido. Training rigorously is beneficial, but you must also allow your body the necessary rest." Hearing his father's words, Kaido couldn't help but release a sigh of his own. Since learning of Rin's tragic fate, he had immersed himself in relentless training, day in and day out. He sought to reach the pinnacle of his abilities, driven by the inevitability of Obito's impending attack on the night of Naruto's birth. He needed to fortify himself as much as possible before that fateful encounter. Yet, he grappled with the uncertainty of how to broach this impending threat with his father. "I'm sorry, Tu-chan, I just wanted to be as strong as you," Kaido confessed, his words carrying a genuine desire to emulate his father's formidable strength. "You are still young, there's no need to rush things," sighed Minato, his palm finding its way to Kaido's head, playfully ruffling his vibrant red hair. "You'll have plenty of time to surpass me, you should enjoy your childhood while it lasts," he advised, a small tender smile gracing his face. "Let's head home. We shouldn't keep your mother waiting too long." With that, Minato and Kaido made their way back to the village. Along the path, many villagers greeted Minato with warm smiles and nods of respect. His renown had soared after the Kanabi Bridge mission, where he single-handedly secured victory for Konoha from a seemingly dire situation. Upon reaching their home and just as they were about to enter, an Anbu operative materialized in front of them, swiftly dropping to one knee. His voice was urgent as he conveyed, "The Hokage has requested your presence immediately in his office, Minato-san. Thank you for delivering the message, I'll be there as soon as possible," Minato replied with a serious tone. As the Anbu operative departed, Minato turned to Kaido and instructed, "Tell your mother that the Hokage has requested my presence." With that, he too vanished in a swift flicker of movement. Kaido, unfazed, made his way into the house to inform his Kachan about his two-sen's whereabouts. "I'm home, Kachan," he called out upon entering. Kushina, upon hearing her son's voice, rushed out to embrace him. "Welcome back, Sachi. Where's your father? Didn't he come with you?" she inquired, leading the way to the kitchen. As he followed, Kaido explained, "Nah, he was summoned to the Hokage's office a few minutes ago. The Anbu said it was urgent." I hope it's nothing serious," Kushina mused as she turned to the stove, tending to the lunch preparations. Seeing her at work, Kaido offered, "Need some help, Kachan?" She smiled warmly and replied, "Well, you can help me by chopping the veggies, but wash your hands first." He returned the smile and said, "Hi." As the duo neared the completion of their cooking, Minato returned home after his meeting with the Hokage. He observed the warm interaction between mother and son, a fond smile gracing his lips. Sensing his presence, Kushina turned and greeted him, her voice tinged with playful curiosity. "Just what do you think you're doing over there?" she quipped, her smile never fading. "What did Lord Third want with you anyway?" she inquired, moving closer to him. Well, Minato began, but was swiftly cut off by Kushina, who interjected with a teasing tone. "Hold on, did you get scolded for something?" "Ah, so what, don't worry about it, you know," she playfully teased. Placing a hand to his chin, Minato shook his head. "No, it wasn't that," he assured her, a hint of intrigue in his eyes. "Well, what was it?" asked Kushina, her face etched with confusion. Minato hesitated for a moment, then confessed, "Well, he wants me to become the fourth Hokage." He looked a little bashful, as if the weight of the responsibility was sinking in. Kushina, still processing the information, started to reply, "Well, don't you mind what he says, the Hokage is just." Her words trailed off as she suddenly comprehended Minato's revelation. Her face registered shock. "Wait, what did you say, Minato?" Minato nodded solemnly. "I've just been named the fourth Hokage," he confirmed. Kushina's shocked expression transformed into one of pure joy. She couldn't contain her excitement and in a burst of elation, she jumped up to hug him tightly. "Congratulations, you know," she exclaimed, overflowing with happiness. Then, in a more serious tone, she added, "Thank you for all your hard work." Minato warmly thanked Kushina for her support. Kaido, upon hearing the news, came forward with a bright smile and said, "Congratulations, Tusan," expressing his genuine happiness for his father's achievement. The three of them spent the day celebrating this momentous occasion together. In the days that followed, as Minato's official inauguration as the fourth Hokage approached, the entire village buzzed with an infectious excitement. News of Minato Namikaze's appointment spread rapidly, engulfing the village in a fervor of anticipation and pride. The prospect of a new era under Minato's leadership filled the hearts of the villagers with hope and optimism, their spirits uplifted by the promise of a brighter future. On the day of the grand inauguration, Kushina and Kaido found themselves standing on the rooftop of the Hokage building, surrounded by the village's leaders and department heads. They watched in solemn anticipation as Hiruzen, the outgoing Hokage, passed down the revered Hokage hat to Minato, the newly appointed fourth Hokage. "I'm counting on you, fourth Hokage," Hiruzen conveyed with a serious and weighty gaze. Minato accepted the hat with a deep sense of commitment. "I shall dedicate my life to it," he vowed. Turning away from the onlookers, he made his way to the edge of the building, where eager villagers had gathered. As he reached the edge, he paused, his hand gripping the hat, and then, with a flourish, he removed it, revealing his determined face. With great authority and pride, he declared, "From this day forth I, Minato Namikaze, am the fourth Hokage." The villagers erupted in joyous celebration, welcoming their new Hokage with cheers and jubilation that would resonate throughout the village for the rest of the day. As the calendar turned to the middle of September, a palpable shift in the atmosphere signaled the imminent arrival of winter. The days grew shorter, and a subtle crispness settled in the air, hinting at the season's embrace. It had been a considerable stretch of time since the grand inauguration of the fourth Hokage, an event that had marked a significant milestone in the village's history. Currently bathed in the golden embrace of a warm hidden leaf village, exuded an air of lively tranquility. The sun cast its radiant glow upon the village's bustling inhabitants, who went about their daily routines, unbeknownst to them, amidst the activity, two swift figures darted through the village, a streak of red leaping across rooftops and seamlessly transitioning from one tree to another. Close on its heels was a shadowy figure in black, the two racing towards the village's outskirts, their destination none other than the summits of the revered Hokage stone visages. The red streak through the village was none other than the spirited Kaido Uzumaki, his vibrant energy leaving a trail of excitement in its wake. Swiftly following in his wake was the shadowy figure of Itachi Uchiha, a testament to his own prowess and determination. They were both 4 years old and had grown a lot in the past year. Right now, they were having a friendly competition to see who would reach the top of the Hokage monument first. As Kaido and Itachi ascended the majestic Hokage mountain, a sense of friendly rivalry filled the air. Kaido, fueled by determination, subtly accelerated his pace, inching ahead in their impromptu race to the top. "I win," Kaido declared triumphantly, standing tall at the zenith of the monument. Right on his heels was Itachi, a close second. "Well done, Kaido," Itachi acknowledged with a warm pat on his companion's back. His tone held a hint of amusement. Come on, let's take in the view from up here." "I heard it's spectacular," Kaido suggested, making his way to the edge of the cliff where he could gaze out over the sprawling village below. His eyes widened in awe. Wow, they weren't exaggerating. Konoha looks absolutely magnificent from this vantage point. The village sprawled out below is a testament to the strength and unity of its inhabitants. Each building, each leafy canopy, seemed to exude a vibrancy that was hard to capture from ground level. The village bustled with life, but from here, it had an almost serene quality, as if the trees whispered secrets only the mountains could hear. The Hokage monument, standing tall and proud, bore silent witness to the generations of leaders who had guided the village through its storied history. It was a sight that filled Kaido with a profound sense of belonging and pride in his home. As they stood atop the Hokage monument, Itachi gazed out at the village below. "Yeah, it really does look good," he commented. Turning his attention towards Itachi, Kaido inquired, "So, what's been on your mind lately?" Caught off guard by the sudden question, Itachi snapped out of his reverie and met Kaido's gaze with a puzzled expression. There's nothing bothering me," he responded, his gaze returning to the village. "We've been friends since we were babies, you know," Kaido stated, his face deadpan. "I'd like to believe I can tell when my best friend has something weighing on him." Exhaling deeply, Itachi shifted towards Kaido, pondering aloud, what is the meaning of life? Observing Kaido's puzzled expression, he pressed on, "I mean, what truly defines life?" "That's a rather weighty subject, you know," remarked Kaido, redirecting his focus back to the village. "I believe everyone holds a unique perspective. It depends on your motivation." "Motivation?" inquired Itachi, his tone tinged with confusion. "Motivation. For some, it might be to inflict pain and suffering, while for others, it's the complete opposite," mused Kaido, responding to the query, his gaze fixed on Itachi with a solemn expression. "If you're asking what life means to me, then I'd say, my family," he added, shifting his eyes back to the village. Itachi gazed at Kaido, a quizzical expression crossing his face. "Your family?" Kaido's gaze remained resolute as he turned to face the village. "To safeguard those dear to me is my driving force and thus, my life's purpose," he replied. For Kaido, ensuring the safety of his family, ensuring his parents' survival amidst a Nine Tails assault, and thwarting any threat from Obito were the core tenets of his existence. After pondering Kaido's words, Itachi eventually spoke up, saying, "I see." They lapsed into a prolonged silence, each absorbed in their own thoughts. Suddenly, Kaido broke the silence by looking up at Itachi. "Itachi, let's engage in a taijutsu spar," Kaido proposed as he rose to his feet. Observing Kaido's actions, Itachi also stood up. "Hi," Itachi agreed with a nod. "Let's head to one of the Uchiha clan's training grounds." With that decision made, the two of them departed from the top of the monument, making their way to one of the Uchiha clan's training areas. After reaching the training grounds, the two stood apart from each other. "Only taijutsu, no weapons allowed?" Itachi asked. "Hi, and let's make this a bit interesting. You know how about the loser has to buy the winner a bowl of ramen," said Kaido, grinning as he picked up a stone. "We begin when then stone hits the ground, okay?" asked Kaido. Itachi, after hearing the terms, nodded his head. Seeing Itachi nod, Kaido threw the stone high up and both of them formed the seal of confrontation. Both of them had their eyes on the stone as it descended towards the ground. As soon as hit the ground, both of them lunged forward at full speed. They met at the center with a resounding clash. A brief gust of wind stirred in their wake as they collided. Engaging in a rapid exchange of strikes and kicks, they aimed to assess each other's skills. Kaido launched a swift kick towards Itachi's midsection, but Itachi deftly intercepted it with his hand. In response, Itachi leaped up, aiming a powerful kick at Kaido, who swiftly evaded by leaping back, putting some distance between them. The spar continued with a dance of precision and agility. In a flurry of motion, they traded a barrage of strikes and kicks, each skillfully defending against the other's assaults while seeking an opportunity to strike. Itachi, quick to spot an opening, swept Kaido's legs from beneath him, sending him tumbling to the ground. Seizing the moment, Itachi moved in to strike, but Kaido swiftly rolled out of harm's way. With a burst of speed, Kaido lunged back at Itachi, landing a solid punch to his stomach. The spar raged on, a display of agility and strategy. They persisted in trading blows, each managing to land hits on the other. This intense exchange carried on until both combatants were visibly drained. They paused, locking eyes, a mutual understanding that the battle was reaching its climax. Summoning their last reserves of energy, they simultaneously charged at each other with maximum speed, each landing a powerful punch on the other's cheek. The sheer force of the impact sent them both hurtling through the air, crashing onto the ground some distance apart. Gasping for breath, they lay there, the match concluding in an exhilarating draw. Both of them panted heavily but couldn't help but share a laugh as they lay there, catching their breath. Kaido, with a grin, remarked, "I guess that means it's a draw," to which Itachi simply nodded, a smile of agreement on his face. Following a brief moment of silence, Kaido suggested, "I suppose it's time we make our way back home." Itachi nodded once more, and together, they got up and began their journey back home, their camaraderie strengthened through their intense spar. In the midst of a winter's day, the Hidden Leaf village lay under a pristine blanket of snow, its streets glistening with a quiet serenity. The village had been steadily convalescing under the wise leadership of Minato, who assumed the role of Hokage immediately following the conclusion of the Third Shinobi War. Amidst this tranquil backdrop, a distinctive pair emerged. Mother and son, both adorned with fiery red hair, made their way toward one of Konoha's parks. The young protagonist, Kaido Uzumaki, a mere 4 years of age, found himself in a small struggle, his diminutive form being pulled towards the playground with determined insistence by none other than his mother, Kushina. Resisting the inevitable, Kaido attempted to voice his protest, adamant that his time would be better spent honing his skills through rigorous training, rather than indulging in child's play. "Ka-chan, I don't want to go to the playground. I could use this time to train, you know," he implored, his youthful determination shining through. Upon hearing Kaido's earnest plea, Kushina gently bonked his head, a playful reprimand for his stubbornness. She reminded him that he had been diligently training every single day. "You've been putting in a lot of effort, sweetheart," she acknowledged. However, she went on to explain her perspective, believing that a boy his age should also take time to make friends and enjoy some play. "Remember, Kaido, it's important to strike a balance. Making friends and having fun is just as vital as training, you know," she counseled, her voice filled with a mother's warmth and concern. In response to his mother's advice on socializing, Kaido quickly countered, asserting that he already had friends. "I've got a friend, you know, Ka-chan. Itachi is my friend," he declared with youthful conviction. Kushina regarded Kaido with a deadpan expression, her gaze steady and unwavering. With a knowing smile, she gently pointed out, "See, that proves my point, sweetheart. You only have one friend, you know." Her words were delivered with a mix of motherly concern and a touch of playful teasing, emphasizing the importance of broadening his social circle. After a few more minutes of walking, they finally arrived at the playground nestled within the heart of the Hidden Leaf village. Despite setting foot in the inviting play area, Kaido's determination remained unyielding. He continued to engage in a spirited debate with his mother, determined to make his case. In a gentle, affectionate tone, Kushina implored Kaido to go and join the other children his age in play. However, when he caught a glimpse of his mother's suddenly stern expression, Kaido's resolve wavered, and he quickly acquiesced. With a resigned air, Kaido stepped into the playground, surveying the area with a sigh. He walked around, glancing at the various groups of children engaged in their games, a hint of uncertainty in his demeanor. As Kaido meandered through the playground, he eventually distanced himself from the bustling play area and found solace in the secluded garden. The allure of a particularly inviting tree's shade beckoned him, prompting him to settle in for some rest. Just as he was about to drift into slumber, a voice unexpectedly emanated from the bushes behind him, jolting him back to alertness. As Kaido cautiously approached the bushes, his heart sank at the sight that met his eyes. A girl, approximately his age of 4, was the target of relentless bullying from 3 older children, a year or 2 ahead of him in age. They had her cornered near a tree, their taunts and jeers casting a dark shadow over the serene playground. Drawing closer to the scene, Kaido took a careful look at the girl. Her midnight blue hair cascaded gracefully to her shoulders, and her eyes, eerily wide and pupilless, bore the unmistakable mark of the Byakugan. The resemblance to Hinata was uncanny, and it struck Kaido profoundly. Confusion washed over Kaido as he grappled with the inexplicable presence of a girl who so closely resembled Hinata. His thoughts raced, pondering how this could be possible. She shouldn't be born yet, she wasn't supposed to be born for another year or so, he mused to himself, a mix of astonishment and disbelief coloring his inner dialogue. Meanwhile, the bullies escalated their torment, hurling hurtful slurs like wide-eyed freak and pushing the girl forcefully into the tree. The derogatory words stung, carrying a weight that Kaido could feel in his chest. Unable to bear the cruelty any longer, Kaido steeled himself and stepped forward, determined to intervene. As he approached, he noticed the girl's head bowed, her slight trembles betraying the distress she was enduring. He could only surmise that she must be on the verge of tears. His resolve solidified. He had to help. Kaido emerged from his hiding spot, his voice carrying a surprising level of determination for a 4-year-old. "Hey!" he called out to the bullies, his intention clear. "Why don't you leave her alone?" he demanded. In his own mind, Kaido believed he sounded quite menacing, but the reality was, his small stature and young age added an unintentional touch of silliness to his bravado. The bullies, their attention now diverted to Kaido, sneered in response. "What's it to you? Get lost," they spat out, their hostility palpable. As the girl heard Kaido's defense, her head snapped up, revealing a fiery determination in her eyes. "Stay out of this. I don't need your help. I can take care of them myself," she declared, her voice resolute with a hint of frustration. Her gaze remained fixed on the bullies, her anger palpable. Observing her steely resolve, one of the bullies, undeterred, suggested, "Let's teach her a lesson, guys." In a surprising turn of events, when one of the bullies approached her with intentions to harm, the girl swiftly sprang into action. With surprising agility and strength, she expertly defended herself, leaving the bullies stunned and reeling from the unexpected retaliation. It was a display of courage and skill that spoke volumes about her capabilities. As the swift and decisive battle unfolded before him, Kaido stood in awe, his astonishment apparent. He couldn't help but recall that the real Hinata possessed a quiet and reserved nature, a far cry from the fierce determination he was witnessing now. He pondered who this girl was and why she bore such a striking resemblance to Hinata. The confrontation was over in the blink of an eye. The girl's movements were a display of mastery, executing precise and lightning-fast strikes that incapacitated the bullies with seamless efficiency. It was evident to Kaido that she was well versed in the Hyuga clan's signature Taijutsu technique, the gentle fist. But the last of the bullies subdued, the girl turned to leave, her presence marked by an air of self-assuredness and quiet strength. Kaido watched her go, his curiosity piqued, and his mind abuzz with questions about this enigmatic girl who shared such a strong resemblance to someone he knew. Kaido stepped forward. "Hey," he began, introducing himself with. "I am Kaido Uzumaki. What's your name?" he inquired. She regarded him for a brief moment, her gaze steady and compassed. "I am Haru Hyuga, the heiress of the Hyuga clan," she stated, her words carrying a weight of significance. With that, she turned and walked away, leaving. Dumbfounded, Kaido stood in the aftermath of the encounter, his mind racing with confusion. He knew, from the original story, that Hinata was designated as the Hyuga heiress, with Hanabi being named the successor after Hinata's loss in their battle when she was 10. Returning to the tree he had initially sought for some respite, Kaido furrowed his brows in deep thought. He sifted through his memories, trying to recall any mention of a Haru Hyuga. The name didn't ring any bells. Puzzled, he mused to himself, had she perhaps passed away before the canon events began? The mystery surrounding Haru only deepened the enigma that had unfolded before him. Lost in his thoughts, Kaido failed to notice the gradual descent of the sun, casting long shadows across the playground as night began to creep in. As the darkness settled, Kaido's confusion still lingered. He decided it was time to return to his mother, who might be growing worried about his extended absence. He turned back towards the direction of the playground to reunite with his mother. "Let's head back home, Ka-chan," he suggested. On their way back, Kushina noticed her son's preoccupied demeanor and inquired, "So, have you made any friends today, Kaido?" Still lost in his own thoughts, Kaido inadvertently revealed, I met Haru Hyuga." Upon hearing the girl's name, Kushina couldn't help but tease Kaido relentlessly for the rest of the day and even throughout the entire week. The mention of Haru Hyuga seemed to have sparked her curiosity and playful banter. It was a splendid day in the Hidden Leaf village. The dawn of the new year had just unfolded, and the villagers were filled with hope for a continuation of the prevailing peace. Among them was Kaido Uzumaki, a 4-year-old bundle of energy, eager to explore the wonders of the village. Currently in the midst of this joyous atmosphere, amidst the laughter and celebrations that echoed through the Hidden Leaf village, Kushina and her son, Kaido Uzumaki, moved purposefully towards the familiar side of the Konoha hospital. A couple of months had passed since Kaido first encountered Haru Hyuga. They had crossed paths a few times in the playground whenever Kaido found himself obliged to go there. Over time, a budding friendship had blossomed between Kaido and Haru. Over the past few days, a lingering malaise had settled upon Kushina. She had been plagued by waves of nausea, culminating in instances of vomiting that left her drained and weak. The once vibrant woman now moved with a cautious step, the weight of her discomfort etched across her features. Beside her, young Kaido, perceptive beyond his tender years, sensed his mother's suffering. His little heart filled with both worry and a touch of anxiety. While he harbored a notion of what might be ailing her, uncertainty knotted him. His concerns manifested in a persistent stream of questions and gentle nudges, urging his mother to seek the care she so obviously needed. So, they were on their way to the hospital for Kushina's checkup. Along the journey, they had to make a pit stop because Kushina was feeling tired. Upon their arrival at the hospital, Kushina was promptly escorted to the examining room. Kaido was then left in the waiting area to bide his time. "Yes, there are some perks to being the Hokage's wife," mused Kaido, observing his mother being ushered into the doctor's room. Speaking of Minato, he had been concerned about Kushina's well-being. He wanted to accompany her to the hospital, but Kushina insisted that he was busy with Hokage duties and that she could manage on her own. She assured him that she would be fine. Reluctantly, Minato agreed to stay behind and attend to his responsibilities. He then turned to Kaido and asked him to accompany Kushina. Kaido readily agreed to be there for his mother. The examination seemed to take an eternity, leaving Kaido with little to do but wait. Finally, after what felt like an endless stretch of time, Kushina emerged from the doctor's room. Her face was aglow with a radiant smile, and she practically exuded joy, bouncing with happiness. As Kaido looked at Kushina, he couldn't help but feel that his intuition about his mother's illness over the past few days had been spot on. Kushina approached where Kaido was seated and warmly said, "Come, Kaido, let's go." Intrigued, Kaido inquired, "What did the doctor say?" His voice carried a tone of curiosity. Giggling slightly, Kushina replied in a sing-song manner, "That's a secret, Kaido-kun. I'll tell you along with your father, you know." That pretty much confirmed Kaido's suspicion, and he couldn't help but feel overjoyed for his parents. And so, the mother and son duo left the hospital, making their way back home. Along the journey, Kaido and his mother indulged in purchasing various foods and items. Kushina's joy was palpable, and it was evident in her thoughtful gesture of buying Kaido a pack of Raichi. The sight moved Kaido so deeply that he was on the verge of tears. It had been several months since he last tasted Raichi, as he had been banned from consuming it due to his previous overindulgence. However, the purchase came with a stern warning. "You have to ration this for the next week, you know," Kushina cautioned with a serious expression. While she was generally a kind-hearted woman, crossing her could lead to significant trouble. Kaido vigorously nodded his head and earnestly replied, "Hi." After purchasing their provisions, they made their way home, pausing occasionally to take some well-deserved rests. Upon arriving home, Minato greeted Kushina and Kaido with genuine happiness. "Welcome back, you two," he exclaimed cheerfully, as he was in the midst of doing the dishes after preparing lunch for them. Upon seeing him, Kaido rushed forward and greeted Minato with a warm hug. "Aren't you supposed to be at work, Tusan?" he asked, a hint of confusion in his eyes. Returning the hug, Minato explained, "Left a shadow clone so I can spend some time with you guys." Kushina joined in the embrace, expressing her gratitude. "Thank you, Minato," she said, her voice filled with appreciation. They all gathered around the table and shared a meal together. Once they finished eating, Minato turned to Kushina with a hint of worry in his eyes and asked, "So, what did the doctor say, Kushina?" With a radiant smile, Kushina delivered the news, "Kaido is going to have a sibling soon." Minato, initially a bit puzzled, soon realized the significance of her words. His eyes lit up with excitement as he eagerly inquired, "You're pregnant, Kushina?" "I'm pregnant, you know," exclaimed Kushina, her face glowing with excitement. Kaido beamed, his smile wide as he listened to the news. He had already deduced that Kushina was expecting. Knowing that Naruto was born on the 10th of October when Itachi was 5 years old, and considering that it was currently February and he was turning 5 in August, Kaido figured that this time of year was when his mother would likely become pregnant. The rest of the day was a whirlwind of celebration and animated chatter about the upcoming addition to their family. Kaido enthusiastically joined in, offering ideas and sharing in their joy. However, as night fell and Kaido lay in bed, a sense of foreboding washed over him. He understood the implications of Naruto's birth and the potential loss of his parents. This fear lingered with him throughout the night, reinforcing his determination to grow stronger and hoping that his plan would succeed. At present, they find themselves on a training ground situated near the outskirts of the Hidden Leaf village. Within this setting, a pair of youngsters engage in a spirited sparring session. The first child, known as Kaido Uzumaki, possesses striking features, his hair a vibrant shade of red, complemented by piercing blue eyes and a lightly bronzed complexion. He is attired in a white t-shirt adorned with the emblem of the Uzumaki clan emblazoned on the front, paired with black pants. His sparring partner, none other than Itachi Uchiha, bears a distinct appearance. With jet black hair and a complexion that leans toward paleness, he dons a blue t-shirt featuring a high collar. On the back of this garment proudly rests the emblem of the Uchiha clan. At this moment, they are engrossed in their customary weekly Taijutsu-only sparring match. This tradition began several months ago after their initial encounter, and since then, they have faithfully engaged in these bouts week after week. Over time, the intensity of their sparring sessions has steadily escalated, each encounter pushing their limits further. Kaido and Itachi clashed fiercely in the middle of the training ground. Kaido's initial push was met with a deft parry from Itachi, who swiftly countered with a powerful roundhouse kick. Though Kaido managed to block the attack, he was still pushed back a few steps. As the exchange continued, Itachi leaped into the air, attempting a kick that Kaido skillfully evaded. Itachi followed up with a punch that Kaido deftly blocked, launching a retaliatory strike that Itachi narrowly dodged. Their blows and kicks continued to trade back and forth. In a swift move, Kaido swept Itachi's legs, aiming for an airborne axe kick. However, Itachi's quick reflexes allowed him to roll out of harm's way, leaving Kaido's kick to meet the ground instead. Seizing the opportunity, Itachi struck Kaido's face with a sharp right-hand blow, forcing him back. Undeterred, Kaido evaded Itachi's subsequent jumping kick, creating some distance between them. The two combatants charged at each other once more, exchanging a flurry of kicks and punches. When Itachi attempted another flying kick, Kaido was ready, catching Itachi's leg and sending him crashing to the ground. Kaido then followed up with a swift kick to Itachi's stomach before executing a successful axe kick. Itachi, recovering, spat out some saliva and retaliated with a left-footed kick that sent Kaido sprawling. Despite his efforts to regain composure, Kaido pressed on, delivering a relentless series of blows to Itachi's body. The final powerful kick sent Itachi hurtling backward, landing him on the ground. As Itachi struggled to rise, Kaido's voice echoed behind him, declaring victory, "I win this round, Itachi." His hand rested near the back of Itachi's neck. Acknowledging his defeat, Itachi nodded, determination in his eyes, "I'll win in the next spar." But that final exchange, the match came to a close. Both Kaido and Itachi, showing mutual respect, bowed to each other and sealed the moment with a gesture of reconciliation. After the sparring match, Itachi and Kaido bid their farewells and headed in opposite directions. Kaido ascended the Hokage monument, gazing down at the sprawling village below. This ritual had become a familiar sanctuary for him since that initial visit with Itachi many months ago. Whenever he sought solace or needed a moment of contemplation, Kaido found himself drawn to this elevated vantage point. As Kaido peered down at the village below, his thoughts couldn't help but drift back to the events of the past few months. He had just celebrated his 5th birthday a few days ago, and August was drawing to a close. One significant aspect of these times was the impending arrival of a new member of the Uzumaki clan. His mother, Kushina, was in the final stages of her pregnancy, and everything had progressed smoothly so far. Kakashi, who had become an Anbu under Minato, had been assigned to watch over Kushina, just as he had in the canon timeline. Kaido had sensed Kakashi's presence numerous times during these days, providing him with a sense of reassurance. However, there was another presence that Kaido had occasionally detected, especially during the times when Kakashi was on watch duty. Try as he might, Kaido couldn't quite pinpoint the identity of this mysterious presence, for it would vanish as soon as he sensed it, leaving him with a lingering sense of curiosity and unease. Kaido had a hunch about the possible identity of the elusive presence. It seemed likely that either Obito or Zetsu was keeping tabs on Kakashi. As he recalled, Obito had a tendency to spy on Kakashi during this specific period. In fact, it was through this very means that Obito had discovered the news of Kushina's pregnancy. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Kaido promptly informed Minato, who assured him that he would be extra vigilant and on guard against any potential threat. Over the past few months, Kaido had significantly intensified his training in anticipation of Naruto's birth. With Minato assuming the role of the 4th Hokage, his availability for personal training sessions had diminished. Still, Minato managed to allocate some time each week to spar with Kaido, offering invaluable guidance and insights on areas that required focus. In the absence of Minato, Kaido dedicated himself to rigorous solo training sessions, occasionally teaming up with Itachi. This arrangement had its merits. While Kaido regretted losing Minato as a primary instructor, he was able to push himself harder without interruptions. Thanks to his Uzumaki lineage, Kaido experienced swift recoveries after strenuous exercises. Additionally, having Itachi as a regular sparring partner of the same age presented a valuable opportunity for growth. Their ongoing spar records stood at a close 12-13, with Kaido recently taking the lead. Under Minato's tutelage, Kaido delved into ninjutsu basics from the academy curriculum. The clone jutsu, transformation jutsu, and substitution jutsu. With diligent practice, he honed these techniques to the point where he could execute them effortlessly, requiring minimal chakra expenditure and omitting the need for hand signs. Eager to refine his skills further, Kaido set a personal goal of performing all his jutsu without the need for hand signs, a feat facilitated by his exceptional chakra control. In his pursuit of excellence, Kaido endeavored to master the Shunshin no Jutsu. It took some persistent effort, including a few days of impressing Minato with his mastery of the academy techniques, before Kaido could confidently employ the body flicker technique. His ambition extended beyond mere proficiency. Kaido sought to integrate the Shunshin no Jutsu seamlessly into his combat style, inspired by the adept utilization of this technique by Minato and Shisui. Though Kaido did eventually grasp the fundamentals of the Shunshin no Jutsu, achieving a high level of proficiency demanded over a month of relentless practice and dedication. Despite his dedication, Kaido found that he still required a one-handed seal to perform the Shunshin no Jutsu. In addition to this, Kaido had achieved a significant milestone by mastering the smokeless Shunshin no Jutsu. This feat had taken him several months of persistent practice. Kaido's progress in Fuinjutsu had been remarkable. Although he had to temper his training due to Kushina's pregnancy, he had made significant headway. He demonstrated proficiency in crafting high-quality explosion seals, paralysis seals, chakra suppression seals, as well as food storage seals, among others. As Kaido gazed at the sun's position, he realized it was time to head back home for lunch. He didn't want to keep his mother waiting for him. With purpose, he stood up and made his way down from the top of the Hokage mountain, heading back to his home. After Kaido had a practice fight with Itachi in the early morning and spent some time thinking about how he's getting better while looking at the village, he decided it was time to head home for lunch. He got up, turned around, and dashed to his house. He knew his mom, Kushina, would be there, ready with a meal. He hopped from one rooftop to another, moving quickly. When Kaido got home, he called out, "I'm home, Ka-chan," and walked inside. His mom, Kushina, welcomed him warmly from the kitchen. "Welcome back, Musuko," she said. As Kaido entered the kitchen, he spotted Minato sitting at the table with a tall man. This man had red markings on his face and long, untamed white hair. Kaido instantly knew him as Jiraiya, one of the famous three ninjas known as the legendary Sannin, and also Minato's teacher. Minato, spotting Kaido, greeted him, "Welcome back, Kaido, this is Jiraiya-sensei." "Sensei, meet Kaido." Once introduced, Jiraiya exclaimed, "He's grown a lot since the last time I saw him. I am Jiraiya, the great toad sage of Mount Myaboku." He introduced himself with a lively dance and a knowing look. Watching his sensei's playful antics, Minato couldn't help but chuckle and scratch the back of his head, a bit embarrassed. Kaido admired Jiraiya's character in the series, but the way he treated Naruto left Kaido feeling conflicted. "In my opinion, Jiraiya the Toad Sage is awesome," Kaido thought, "but in the role of a godfather, not so much. If that hadn't happened, I would be okay with it." He acknowledged Jiraiya's strength and recognized that his beliefs were worth considering. Kaido held a strong opinion about Jiraiya's teaching methods and personal flaws. He believed that given Jiraiya's age and life experiences, there was no excuse for him not trying to address these issues. In all honesty, Kaido thought Jiraiya made a terrible teacher. He had some serious character flaws that he never even attempted to rectify. He abandoned Naruto for the first 12 years of his life. If he wasn't willing to fulfill his role as a godfather, he shouldn't have accepted the title. He should have asked Minato and Kushina to choose someone else. By accepting, he took on the responsibility and duty to step in as a guardian, to nurture, teach, and train Naruto in case anything happened to them. Considering how Naruto grew up, Jiraiya's failure is even more glaring. It's not just Naruto who suffered, he let down Minato and Kushina as well. And we haven't even touched on his shortcomings as a teacher. In 2.5 years, just like Minato before him, Naruto was under his guidance as an apprentice. However, what did he truly absorb during this time? Some basics in tactics, a focus on developing a Rasengan concentrated on power and size, rather than honing true mastery, offering a shortcut instead of instilling discipline. There was an attempt to tap into the Nine Tails chakra, but it ended in failure, which seemed quite foolish, considering they already knew that Itachi and Kisame were tasked with capturing him. This indicated the need for skills beyond relying solely on the fox's power, since both adversaries could nullify his use of it. There was a touch of collaboration with the Toads, a slight refinement in his taijutsu skills, and instruction on how to dispel simple genjutsu. However, any increase in speed and strength appeared underwhelming, as it seemed more a natural result of his maturation than actual dedicated training. There were a handful of things he could have and should have focused on. He could have genuinely honed his strength, speed, and reflexes. He could have genuinely mastered shadow clones. He could have truly mastered Rasengan, even achieving the feat of using it with just one hand, as both Minato and Jiraiya had accomplished. Absolutely, there were numerous opportunities he missed. He could have started and possibly even mastered Wind's style. Strangely, he never even broached the subject of nature manipulation with Naruto. They could have undertaken missions to gain practical experience and possibly earn a field promotion. It might have been beneficial for him and Jiraiya to occasionally team up with village squads for missions and assessments. It's worth noting that he stopped short after teaching Rasengan and the toad summoning techniques. The experienced spymaster neglected to educate his apprentice on the intricacies of his primary responsibilities, nor did he impart the specialized techniques crucial for those tasks like invisibility, capture techniques, interrogation methods, frog transformation, and deploying detection barriers. It wasn't just about raw power. He was spot on when he emphasized to Naruto that being a shinobi required more than just combat prowess. It demanded acquiring the wisdom to make sound judgments, which directly aligns with his aspiration of becoming Hokage. It was imperative for Naruto to cultivate intelligence and discernment along with his strength. Teaching Naruto wasn't an overwhelming task, especially with the clever use of shadow clones. You see, Orochimaru and Tsunade were rather persistent in passing on their knowledge and skills to their own apprentices. In contrast, Naruto received a rather limited education. I understand that Jiraiya took on a fatherly or mentor-like role, But we mustn't forget the dual purpose of their journey. First, it was about ensuring Naruto's safety by keeping him hidden from the Akatsuki and training him at the same time, all while staying off their radar. Second, it was crucial to prepare Naruto specifically to confront the Akatsuki. This was a clear mission and goal that needed focused attention. So, it's reasonable to expect a more comprehensive approach to Naruto's training during their time together. It is truly infuriating and deeply unjust that Jiraiya took money from a 12-year-old. This is a child who's already working tirelessly just to make ends meet, to survive, and to cover his own expenses. It's a real betrayal of trust and a serious lapse in responsibility on Jiraiya's part. And that's not even delving into the darker aspects of Jiraiya's character. Think about Naruto's upbringing, a life with hardly any friends and practically no family, except for a manipulative grandfather figure who would only show up, if he was lucky, once a month. Not to mention the relentless isolation, mental torment, emotional scars, and even instances of physical abuse, like shoving a 10-year-old to the ground and hurling objects at him, just to give you an idea of the kind of hardship Naruto endured from almost the entire population of his own village. It's truly heartbreaking. When Naruto tries to show, in his own way, that he craves some care and support from his mentor and godfather, whom he spends a lot of time with even if he's not fully aware of their relationship, the response he gets is hurtful. Instead of understanding or encouragement, Jiraiya chooses to put him down and mock him. This is especially painful considering that Naruto is simply expressing a very normal need for a 13-year-old. Naruto, unfortunately, has become accustomed to enduring mistreatment. It seems he's willing to endure just about anything, even emotional abuse, if it means he can experience moments of affection from people like Sakura and Sasuke. Now, is this Jiraiya a bad person? Not necessarily. But it's clear he has significant flaws. Given his age and experience, it's hard to find an acceptable reason for this behavior. Before the time skip, Sasuke was undoubtedly the most skilled member. Naruto was more of a tank, while Sakura struggled to contribute significantly to the team. However, after the time skip, Sasuke took his abilities to a whole new level. He not only refined his Chidori technique and created variations of it, but he also developed a host of his own original techniques. Additionally, he learned numerous powerful techniques from Orochimaru. His education and knowledge expanded significantly, and he trained diligently to reach a high A-rank level in terms of power. Sasuke also achieved a level of mastery over his Sharingan, enhancing his combat capabilities. His overall strength, speed, tactical thinking, reflexes, and mastery over his curse mark all experienced exponential growth. In essence, he gained a wealth of both education and practical experience, making him a formidable ninja. Sakura, who was trained by Tsunade, seamlessly collaborated with Chio despite their initial lack of experience together. She ascended to become one of the leading medical authorities in the elemental nations. Notably, she successfully cured one of the most intricate poisons ever devised. Her knowledge and expertise far surpassed her earlier self. In contrast, Naruto earned a bigger Rasengan, manipulating Kyuubi chakra to some extent, and the ability to dispel basic ninjutsu. Undoubtedly, Naruto emerged as a vastly superior shinobi after the time skip. However, when one reflects on his starting point prior to the journey, the extent of his progress seems disappointingly inadequate, and this can be attributed entirely to Jiraiya's shortcomings as a mentor. After the time skip, a noticeable transformation takes place. Kakashi, who had previously struggled as a teacher, finally shifts gears and begins to instruct Naruto effectively. The change is remarkable. He guides Naruto in mastering shadow clones, providing valuable insights into their intricacies, as well as delving into elemental manipulation and advanced chakra theory. Kakashi aids him in honing his elemental abilities, devising a highly efficient training regimen, and ultimately contributing to the creation of one of Naruto's most formidable techniques. He collaborates closely with Naruto, serving as a trusted sounding board for his ideas. But this newfound dedication and proper guidance, Naruto achieves mastery over his wind-based chakra nature in just a matter of days. Astonishingly, within a mere month, he successfully amalgamates his wind element with the Rasengan, a feat many believed to be unattainable. This achievement marks the completion of his father's technique. And then, Naruto goes on to develop and perfect his formidable S-rank technique. The wind style. Rasen Shuriken. Indeed, one can't help but ponder the potential progress Naruto could have made if Jiraiya had taken his role as a teacher more seriously. Within just a few months, Kakashi's focused and dedicated instruction propelled Naruto to incredible heights. If Jiraiya had set aside his vices and truly committed to his responsibilities, the results could have been nothing short of astounding. It's disheartening to consider the missed opportunities due to his penchant for indulgence in drink, hedonism, and inappropriate behavior. And Naruto, under Jiraiya's sincere and attentive guidance, might have achieved feats beyond imagination. After his internal tirade, Kaido resolved to assist his mother in the kitchen, leaving his father Minato to entertain Jiraiya. As they awaited the meal, Minato settled into a chair at the dining table, producing a book and immersing himself in its pages. Observing Minato engrossed in his book, Jiraiya playfully slapped him on the back and quipped, "Ah, you're reading my tales of a gutsy ninja, aren't you? It's my first published work, but the sentences are a bit childish and I didn't do a stellar job," scratching the back of his head. In response, Minato looked up and earnestly stated, "No, I don't think so, sensei. This story is wonderful." Jiraiya beamed at Minato's compliment and took a seat across from his former student. "Each chapter reads like one of your numerous legendary exploits, it's almost like an autobiography," Minato continued, genuinely impressed. Hearing this, Jiraiya embraced the compliment, yet with a hint of disappointment. "But it didn't sell at all for my next one, I think I'll add some sexy elements to spice it up a bit," Jiraiya said with a mischievous grin and a perverted expression. "The main character of this book, I thought his determination to never give up was really cool." "He's a lot like you, sensei," Minato said, engrossed in the story. "Is that so?" Jiraiya replied, clearly a bit embarrassed by the praise. Minato continued, "So I was thinking. I really hope my unborn child can become a ninja just like this main character." He closed the book and carefully placed it on the table. "Which is why I'd like your permission to name my son after him." Shocked, Jiraiya exclaimed, "Hey. Are you sure? It's just a random name that I thought up while eating ramen." "Naruto, it's a wonderful name," Kushina chimed in, gently rubbing her belly as she and Kaido emerged from the kitchen. Upon hearing Kushina's words, Jiraiya scratched the back of his head, a mix of astonishment and humility in his expression. He then mustered the courage to ask, "Cripes, so that makes me his godfather? Are you sure about this?" His gaze shifted between Kushina and Minato, seeking confirmation. Minato replied with heartfelt sincerity, "You are my sensei. And you are a great ninja who possesses the true talents of a ninja. There's no other like you." On the side, Kaido couldn't help but let out a sigh. He knew how bad Jiraiya was as Naruto's godfather, and he was resolute in his determination not to let Naruto suffer as he had in the original timeline. After Jiraiya was officially named Naruto's godfather, Minato lent a hand in serving the lunch that Kaido assisted Kushina in making. As they sat down to enjoy the meal, a conversation unfolded between Minato, Jiraiya, and Kushina, centering around Kushina's impending due date and all matters pertinent to the upcoming birth. Meanwhile, Kaido sat in contemplative silence, absorbed in profound consideration on how best to convey the urgency of the situation concerning Obito and devise a plan to ensure their safety. As the days pressed on, Kaido found himself struggling to conceive a plan that would ensure their safety. Time was slipping away, with Naruto's arrival expected in less than 2 months. Letting out a heavy sigh, Kaido inwardly resolved, "I'll concentrate on my training for now. There's no use in fretting and causing my Kacchan unnecessary worry." It was almost uncanny how Kushina always seemed to sense when Kaido was troubled, sad, or burdened. Call it mother's intuition, but she had an innate ability to pick up on his emotions. Kaido was determined not to add to her worries, particularly during this crucial time in her pregnancy. Lost in his own thoughts, Kaido absent-mindedly continued eating, oblivious to the conversation swirling around him. The topic shifted, and Jiraiya directed his attention towards Kaido, inquiring, "What about the squirt over here? Have you started his shinobi training yet? He's 5, right? Then he'll be starting the academy next year." Jolted from his reverie by Jiraiya's question, Kaido's mother, Kushina, beamed with pride. "Oh, my little baby is a prodigy in the shinobi arts, just like his father, you know," she exclaimed, her voice brimming with affection as she playfully ruffled Kaido's hair. This warm gesture brought him back into the present, away from the depths of his contemplations. Oh. "We've got another prodigy," Jiraiya exclaimed, his face lighting up with a wide grin as he looked at Kaido. Hi sensei," Minato chimed in, his pride-filled tone. Like Kushina said, little Kaido is a true prodigy in the arts of ninjutsu and taijutsu. He's remarkably sharp-witted, possesses a strong will, and he's a quick learner. The dedication he puts into his training is commendable, and his skills are quite exceptional for his age. Upon hearing these praises, Kaido's cheeks flushed and he shyly lowered his head, prompting some laughter from the adults. "Not only that, but he's also incredibly adept with seals. He picks up on my teachings with remarkable swiftness," Kushina boasted, her chest swelling with maternal pride. "Already learning seals?" Jiraiya exclaimed, his surprise evident as he gazed at Kaido. After a brief pause, Jiraiya turned to Minato, a wide grin on his face, and asked, "Mind if I spar with him a bit?" "If it's alright with him," Minato replied. Turning back to Kaido, Jiraiya proposed, "How about it, Squirt? Spar with me, and if you manage to impress me, I'll teach you an awesome jutsu." He punctuated his offer with an enthusiastic thumbs up. Internally, Kaido couldn't help but think, "This is great, I've been wanting to learn something offensive, but mom and dad won't teach it to me just yet. They say I need to master the basics first." With a wide grin, Kaido was about to eagerly agree. Just as Kaido was on the verge of agreeing, a sudden chill swept through the air, causing both Kaido and Jiraiya to turn towards its source, their foreheads beaded with sweat. In a sweet tone, Kushina chimed in, "I hope you won't be teaching my baby boy anything inappropriate, would you, Jiraiya-sensei?" Jiraiya, now sweating profusely, responded in a frantic tone, "Of course not, I would never do that." "Well, if that's the case, then you can take him, you know," Kushina retorted, her demeanor shifting back to her cheerful self in an instant. This sudden change in mood left Kaido, Minato, and Jiraiya with sweat drops, their brows furrowing in slight surprise. After helping Kushina tidy up the table, Kaido and Jiraiya bid their farewells. Meanwhile, Minato opted to stay at home with Kushina, trusting Jiraiya and relishing the rare opportunity to unwind on his day off. As they made their way towards the training ground, Jiraiya turned to Kaido and inquired, "So, kid, what have you learned so far?" "Mostly the basics, you know," Kaido replied, listing them off: physical training, Taijutsu, Shuriken Jutsu, chakra control, and the basic ninjutsu. Jiraiya's interest was piqued. "How far are you in chakra control, kid?" he asked. Kaido answered with confidence, I can spar on the water." "What? You can walk on water? That's usually taught after graduation," exclaimed Jiraiya, clearly impressed. "And what are these basic ninjutsus?" he inquired further. "The Academy 3 and the Shunshin no Jutsu," Kaido explained as they arrived at the training ground. Hearing Kaido's list of skills, Jiraiya looked at him with a mix of surprise and doubt, thinking, he already knows the Academy 3 and Shunshin no Jutsu. At the training ground, Jiraiya positioned himself a few feet away from Kaido. With a confident grin, he declared, "Okay, attack me with everything you have. And remember, if you manage to impress me, I'll teach you a jutsu." Kaido sought clarification, asking, "Am I only allowed to use taijutsu, or can I use ninjutsu too?" "Like I said, use everything you have, and that includes ninjutsu. You can start whenever you're ready," Jiraiya affirmed, setting the stage for their spar. Hearing Jiraiya's confirmation, Kaido's expression shifted into one of determination. He swiftly closed the distance between them, launching himself at Jiraiya with incredible speed. His fist shot forward in a punch aimed at Jiraiya's face, but the experienced ninja effortlessly blocked it with his hand, still maintaining his confident grin. Jiraiya couldn't help but be impressed. He's fast, he thought, swiftly dodging a kick from Kaido that was aimed at his head. The spar continued, with Kaido relentlessly launching attacks and Jiraiya skillfully evading each one. After a sustained exchange of blows, Jiraiya seized an opportunity. As he evaded a punch from Kaido, he countered with a swift kick, aiming to sweep Kaido's legs out from under him. As Jiraiya's kick connected, it seemed to pass right through Kaido, leaving him momentarily stunned. To Jiraiya's surprise, Kaido reappeared behind him, catching him off guard. Swiftly, Kaido attempted to land a kick on Jiraiya, confident in his maneuver. In his mind, Kaido thought, yes, it worked. However, Jiraiya's experience as a Sannin came into play. He swiftly ducked under the kick and leaped back, creating some distance between them. Internally, he pondered, how did he do that? My leg just phased through him, and he reappeared behind me. Was I fighting a clone just now? No, his punches were real. While Jiraiya grappled with this puzzle, Kaido took a moment to catch his breath, panting slightly. In his own thoughts, Kaido mused, damn, he dodged well, he is a Sannin after all. At least it worked. He couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment at having pulled off such a move, even if it didn't quite land as intended. Intrigued by Kaido's unexpected move, Jiraiya couldn't help but ask, what was it that you just did, kid? Hearing Jiraiya's inquiry, Kaido explained, it's something I'm working on. It's a combination of the clone and replacement, along with the Shunshin no Jutsu, but that's the first time it worked. His voice held a note of pride in this achievement. Kaido had been diligently working to replicate Shisui Zan's Bunshin technique. However, he had put his own spin on it, resulting in a variation that differed from Shisui's original. Shisui Zan's Bunshin involved the creation of numerous afterimages. With his exceptional speed, Shisui could seamlessly move between these afterimages, executing potent attacks from each one. Each afterimage possessed substantial force, allowing him to strike with significant impact. When under attack, Shisui would skillfully evade, allowing the opponent's strike to pass through one of his afterimages. Kaido's adaptation, on the other hand, resembled the replacement jutsu more closely. It left an afterimage only in response to an incoming attack, skillfully diverting the opponent's strike through the afterimage. This tactical move created a strategic opening for Kaido to counter and strike his opponent, as he successfully demonstrated against Jiraiya. Listening to Kaido's explanation, Jiraiya couldn't help but be deeply impressed. His thoughts raced, Minato and Kushina weren't exaggerating. This kid is a monster to create a technique at his age and without any hand signs. His chakra control must be really good, and his speed and agility are already nearing Chunin level. His taijutsu is better than most genins. With newfound interest, Jiraiya continued. "Alright kid, you managed to impress me," Jiraiya declared, a pleased grin on his face as he observed the now exhausted Kaido, who was panting heavily on the ground. "As promised, I'll teach you a jutsu," Jiraiya affirmed, producing a shuriken. This technique is called Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. It was invented by the third Hokage. Now, watch closely. With precision, Jiraiya hurled the shuriken towards one of the wooden stumps in the training ground. He swiftly performed a series of hand signs and called out, "Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." In response, the thrown shuriken replicated itself into 10, striking the wooden stumps. Turning back to Kaido, Jiraiya explained, after throwing the shuriken, the user duplicates it with their chakra. "I only made 10 clones for the demonstration, but if you become proficient, you can make hundreds." He then handed Kaido a shuriken and added, "Now you try." The hand signs are ox, dog, dragon, rat, dog, boar, snake, tiger. Taking the shuriken from Jiraiya, Kaido couldn't help but ponder, I thought for sure he would teach me the summoning jutsu." Initially, Kaido had anticipated that Jiraiya would instruct him in the summoning jutsu, much like he did when he first met Naruto. However, upon further reflection, Kaido came to understand why Jiraiya hadn't chosen to teach him that particular technique. "It's probably because I'm only 5 years old," Kaido reasoned. The summoning jutsu did take Naruto a lot of chakra to use. It must be a technique that requires significant mastery and control, and at my age, it might be too much. As Kaido accepted the shuriken from Jiraiya, his mind wandered back to a vivid memory. He recalled the time he had witnessed Minato employing the Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu during the Naruto Tower movie. In that remarkable scene, Minato had executed the jutsu on his kunai, conjuring an astonishing number, likely surpassing a few thousand kunai. It was a spectacle of nearly ceaseless projectiles, a relentless stream of blades that had lasted for about 10 seconds. "Man, Dad is really op," Kaido mused to himself, a mix of admiration and amazement filling his thoughts. Taking a deep breath, Kaido focused his concentration. He propelled the shuriken toward the wooden stump and swiftly moved through the required hand signs. "Ox, dog, dragon, rat, dog, boar, snake, tiger." He called out, "Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." To his satisfaction, the shuriken multiplied into 5 identical copies, each striking the stump with precision. Despite his success, Kaido couldn't help but feel the strain. He thought, damn, that took a lot of chakra. Observing Kaido's achievement, Jiraiya couldn't help but be impressed he managed to get it on his first try. On a bright and cheerful day in Konoha, the Hidden Leaf village was pulsing with vitality, its streets abuzz with the rhythm of daily life. This prosperity owed much to the capable leadership of the new Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Amidst a lively crowd, a distinctive pair stood out. A mother and her son, both boasting fiery red hair. They were none other than Kushina Uzumaki and her 5-year-old son, Kaido Uzumaki, a testament to the village's enduring strength and unity under Hokage Minato's guidance. It had been a few weeks since Jiraiya had paid them a visit, during which Minato and Kushina had officially named him Naruto's godfather. In this span of time, Kaido dedicated himself relentlessly to honing the Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. His efforts yielded impressive results. Presently, he could conjure 10 clones of the shuriken with a mere flick of his hand, a remarkable feat that significantly reduced the required hand signs. In addition to his strides with the Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Kaido also made headway with his unique adaptation of the Zanzan Bunshin. He had achieved the ability to use it at will, although it demanded his full concentration. This progress marked a significant step forward in his mastery of these techniques. Accompanying his mother on a shopping trip, Kaido's physical presence belied the fact that his mind was elsewhere. The imminent date of Naruto's birth weighed heavily on him, a constant reminder of the masked man and his unshared knowledge with his parents. In the past few days, Kaido had dedicated himself to devising a way to alert them about this looming threat. Tonight, he planned to put his idea into action. As they perused the items, Kushina's voice broke through his reverie, bringing him back to the present. "I think we have everything we need. Let's head back," she suggested, turning to her son. "Hi, Mom," Kaido replied, their steps now leading them back home. On their way back, Kushina turned to Kaido, concern etched on her face. "You've been a bit out of it lately, are you feeling okay, Kaido-kun?" Both she and Minato had noticed his uncharacteristic silence over the past few days, and it troubled them. Kaido let out a sigh, attempting to mask his inner frustration. It was futile, though, for his mother always seemed to see through his facade. "Nah, nothing, Mom, just a bit tired is all," he replied. "You've been pushing yourself too hard lately, Kaido, you should rest for a few days, go play with your friends, Kushina advised, her concern for her son evident in her words. After a few minutes, they arrived home, and Kushina promptly set to work preparing dinner. With no immediate tasks at hand, Kaido joined his mother in the kitchen to assist with the cooking. Minato's voice rang out, announcing his return. "I'm home," he called as he entered the house. Kaido greeted him warmly, embracing his father. "Welcome back, Dad," he said, the hug reciprocated by Minato. "Welcome back, dear, go wash up, dinner will be ready in a few minutes," Kushina chimed in, directing her attention to Minato. After a refreshing shower, Minato joined Kaido and Kushina at the dinner table. "Itadakimasu," they all chimed in unison, expressing their gratitude before delving into the delectable meal. "So, how was your day, honey?" inquired Kushina, her attention turning to Minato. "You know, the usual paperwork," he replied, a hint of routine in his voice. Throughout the meal, Minato shared the details of his day at the office with Kushina, and she reciprocated by recounting her own experiences. Meanwhile, Kaido, though physically present, was lost in his own thoughts, his mind consumed by the plan he was carefully mentally rehearsing. After finishing his dinner, Kaido excused himself and made his way to his room. "I'm going to bed, Mom, Dad. Good night," he bid them before disappearing into his room. "Alright, sweetie." "Good night," Kushina responded, her worry evident in her gaze as she watched Kaido leave. Turning to Minato, she expressed her concern, saying, "I'm worried about him. He's been really stressed lately, you know." Minato considered this for a moment, then reassured her, "Don't worry too much, Kushina. He's probably just tired, he has been training really hard." His words were meant to offer some comfort and perspective, hoping to alleviate her concerns. In the dead of the night, around 2 a.m., Kaido remained wide awake, feigning slumber after his mother's earlier visit. He steeled himself, his mind resolute. "I hope this works," he thought, taking a deep breath. He closed his eyes, mentally replaying the memory of Naruto's birth. Then, summoning all his courage, Kaido let out a piercing scream, loud enough to jolt his parents awake. Alarmed, Minato and Kushina rushed to Kaido's room, fear etched on their faces. Minato was the first to enter, and his heart sank at the sight of Kaido sitting on his bed, tears streaming down his face, breath ragged. Without a moment's hesitation, Kaido rushed into his father's arms, gripping him tightly, tears flowing freely. He repeated his pleas over and over again, a desperate mantra of "please don't leave and please don't die." Soon after, Kushina entered the room, her face a mask of concern. Kaido turned to her, embracing her just as tightly, his pleas continuing in an agonized chorus. The room was filled with the weight of Kaido's distress, his fear and love for his family pouring out in a torrent of raw emotion. This was the first time Kaido had shed tears since the day he was born. To both Kushina and Minato, it was a sight they had never witnessed before. "SHH mommy is not going anywhere, baby," Kushina cooed, her voice gentle and reassuring as she held Kaido close, attempting to soothe him. Both parents tried their utmost to calm Kaido, but his distress seemed insurmountable. It took nearly an hour of concerted effort to finally ease his trembling form and bring him back to a state of relative calm. The room seemed to hold its breath, finally releasing it in a collective sigh of relief as Kaido's sobs gradually subsided. Minato, his voice tender and reassuring, spoke to Kaido after they had managed to calm him down somewhat. "It was just a dream, there's nothing to worry about. Your mom and I aren't going anywhere," he said, his words carrying a deep sincerity. "Do you want to talk about it?" Kaido shifted uncomfortably before finding the courage to speak. His voice trembled as he recounted the vivid nightmare. "It felt real. A masked man attacked you and mom after she gave birth to Naruto and took Naruto hostage. He distracted dad long enough to capture mom and extract the 9 tails from her. He then attacked the village. You defeated him and teleported the 9 tails out of the village. And then mom was dying, and you wanted to use a sealing jutsu to seal half of the 9 tails in Naruto and the other half in mom. Then the 9 tails attacked Naruto with its claw. And both of you jumped in front of Naruto, blocked it. Then you guys died sealing it in Naruto. I couldn't do anything to save you," Kaido confessed, his emotions bordering on hysteria. As Kaido disclosed the revelation about the 9 tails being sealed inside Kushina, both Kushina and Minato were visibly taken aback. They hadn't broached the subject with Kaido before, and the disclosure held a weighty significance. Kushina, holding Kaido close, gently reassured him, her voice a soothing lullaby. "It's just a dream, baby. Mom and dad won't leave you and Naruto alone, you know." Her words were a balm, aimed at easing Kaido's troubled heart, rocking him tenderly in her embrace until sleep found him. Meanwhile, Minato stood nearby, his thoughts whirling in a maelstrom of bewilderment and concern. How does Kaido know about the 9 tails sealed in Kushina? We've never mentioned it to him before. In the dream he had a masked man attacking the village and me and Kushina dying. Did he have a premonition about the future? His mind raced with possibilities, grappling with the implications of Kaido's revelations. As Kaido lay in his mother's embrace, he feigned slumber, his mind still racing with the weight of his revelation. His thoughts echoed in the quiet of his mind, hopefully, knowing about the 9 tails will be enough to make dad take my warning seriously. But that hope firmly planted in his heart, Kaido let himself drift into a feigned sleep, his determination to protect his family guiding him into the realm of dreams. It had been a few weeks since Kaido had forewarned Minato and Kushina about the potential threat of Obito attacking them during Naruto's birth. Now, on October 9th, the day before Naruto's arrival, tension hung in the air. The morning after the first unsettling nightmare, once Minato had departed for work, Kushina mustered the courage to broach the topic with Kaido. She inquired, her voice tinged with nervousness, "Kaido-kun, you're familiar with the Nine Tails, aren't you?" Her apprehension stemmed from the fear of Kaido's reaction upon learning of her status as a Jinchuriki. Unsure why she had brought up the subject of the Nine Tails, Kaido replied, "Hi, Ka-chan, it's sealed within you, right? Hi, you don't hate me because of it, do you?" She asked, her eyes welling up with tears. Comprehending the gravity of her question, Kaido rose from his seat and enveloped her in a comforting embrace. In a gentle, reassuring tone, he murmured, "How could I ever hate you, Ka-chan? You're my most precious person, you know." Kushina clung to Kaido, her heart swelling with gratitude and joy, tears trickling down her cheeks. At night, despite the events of the previous evening, a palpable sense of contentment enveloped Kushina. Every day, Kaido maintained the facade of being plagued by the same haunting dream depicting the tragic demise of his parents. He persistently urged them to take action, his fear of losing them palpable. Throughout this period, Kaido remained steadfastly by his mother's side, foregoing even his usual training sessions. His pursuit of authenticity led him to sacrifice precious hours of sleep, determined to make the charade as convincing as possible. Kaido's heart weighed heavily with sorrow, knowing that his relentless nightmares had also taken a toll on his mother, who was in the final stages of her pregnancy. The burden of protecting them weighed on him, leaving him with no choice but to endure the torment of waking up each night, his screams echoing the vivid horrors of his dreams. Kaido contemplated sharing information about Obito's abilities with Minato, but ultimately dismissed the idea. He reasoned, even if I were to disclose Obito's capabilities, Dad would still want to assess them firsthand, to devise a counter-strategy. Besides, it only took Dad a couple of encounters and a mere 3 to 4 minutes to best Obito anyway. Additionally, Kaido recognized the limitations of recounting the dream in its entirety. Dreams are inherently elusive, and one can never fully capture every detail. He understood that for the sake of authenticity, he needed to refrain from providing an overly detailed account to his parents, aiming instead to convince them of the recurring nightmare's gravity. Other than during a dinner one night, Kaido took the opportunity to assist Minato with perfecting the wind-style Rasengan. It had been a week since Kaido shared his dream with him. One evening, Minato returned home after a mundane day at the office. After a refreshing bath, he joined Kaido and Kushina at the dinner table. As they enjoyed their meal, Kaido's curiosity got the better of him and he inquired about any jutsu Minato had personally created. "Dad, have you ever created any jutsu yourself?" Kaido asked, aware that Minato was the mastermind behind the renowned Rasengan, a jutsu of immense influence. However, since Kaido's reincarnation into this world, he had yet to witness it in action. Taken aback by the sudden question, Minato responded, "I do have a few jutsu that I created, why do you ask?" With a hint of excitement in his voice, Kaido quickly followed up, "Can you show me one of these jutsu?" He couldn't help but hope that Minato would demonstrate the Rasengan. Minato agreed with a smile, "Sure, after we finish eating." He noticed that Kaido's mood had been somewhat subdued in the past few days due to the nightmares, so he was happy to oblige and share the jutsu, knowing it would bring some much-needed enthusiasm to Kaido. After finishing dinner and lending a hand to Kushina with the dishes, Minato made his way to the living room where Kushina and Kaido were waiting. He spoke up, "Alright, Kaido, this is a jutsu that I created for your mother." As he said this, Minato raised his hand, palm facing up. Chakra began to coalesce around Minato's palm, producing a distinct swirling sound as it gathered and formed into a ball of whirling energy. "This is the Rasengan," Minato announced with a smile. "I drew inspiration from witnessing a Jinchuriki perform a Bijigama. I made this jutsu to help your mother stand up to the other Jinchuriki and Biju in battle. It is the pinnacle of chakra-shaped transformation." "Sugoi!" exclaimed Kaido, impressed by the revelation of why Minato had created the Rasengan. He recalled that Minato had initially crafted it after witnessing a tailed beast bomb, but he hadn't known it was specifically for his mother. "Rasengan, did you name it?" Kaido inquired, aware of Minato's tendency to give techniques long and complicated names, such as the combo attack he named for Naruto and Sasuke during the war. He was curious to know who had christened this particular jutsu. Upon hearing the question, Kushina burst into laughter and Minato hung his head in mock embarrassment. "Of course, I'm the one who named it, your father wanted to call it Ice Pop something you know," she said between laughs. Minato mumbled, "Ice Pop-inspired Nimbus Jurea Twin Whorl Sphere isn't a bad name," which caused both Kushina and Kaido to burst out laughing. Grumbling slightly, Minato continued, "Though the jutsu isn't complete initially, I had wanted to add my nature transformation to it, but after 3 years of trying, I haven't been able to incorporate it." Kaido was well aware of how Naruto managed to infuse chakra nature transformation into the Rasengan and decided to drop a subtle hint to help Minato out. He thought to himself, Naruto probably only used wind release Rasengan once or twice in the whole series and mostly stuck with the Rasen Shuriken anyway. So, I'll give him a hint and see how it goes. Did you try using a shadow clone to assist you with it? Kaido inquired, his gaze fixed on the Rasengan in Minato's palm. Hearing the question, Minato looked puzzled. Why would I use a shadow clone to help with adding nature transformation to the Rasengan? Kaido explained, dividing up the task. It must be like looking in both directions at the same time, right? So, using a shadow clone to infuse nature chakra while you can concentrate on maintaining the Rasengan. He couldn't help but mentally apologize to Kakashi for borrowing his solution. Minato's eyes lit up with excitement upon hearing Kaido's suggestion. He exclaimed, "That's it." And in a flash, he teleported away. Startled, Kaido turned to his mother, who was shaking her head and sighed, "Why did you have to give him ideas, Kaido-kun?" The next morning, to everyone's surprise, Minato returned with a triumphant grin on his face. It was no shocker, really. Minato was truly a monstrous talent. It had taken him only one night to perfect the Rasengan, a feat that even Naruto, with the help of hundreds of clones, took days to achieve. It was currently evening, and Minato had arrived back home early to spend some quality time with his family before he had to head out again. Kaido lay stretched out on the sofa, his head resting on his mother's lap as he slept. It had been exhausting for Kaido to maintain the act of having nightmares every night, causing him to lose precious sleep. Suddenly, they all heard a knock at the door. This unexpected sound startled Kaido, causing him to jolt awake. This wasn't part of his act, as he had been particularly alert to his surroundings, uncertain about how his presence might have altered the course of events. "It's okay, Kaido-kun, it's just the door," reassured Kushina, her hand gently caressing his head. Meanwhile, Minato went to the door to greet whoever was on the other side. Having been abruptly awakened, Kaido turned his gaze towards the door and observed Minato welcoming in Hiruzen Sarutobi and his wife, Bawako Sarutobi. Upon seeing them, Kushina rose from her seat and warmly greeted them, saying, "Lord Third, Lady Bawako, come in, it's good to see you." "Ah, Kushina, good to see you doing well," Hiruzen responded with a smile as he exchanged pleasantries. Bawako added, "It's good to see you, Kushina. I hope the baby's doing well," as she placed a gentle hand on Kushina's stomach, expressing her concern for the growing life within. Minato graciously served tea as they all took their seats at the dining table. "Ah, this must be young Kaido. I've heard quite a lot about you from Minato," Hiruzen remarked upon seeing Kaido. Bawako chimed in, My, the last time I saw you, you were but a baby." Kushina gave Kaido a gentle nudge. "Kaido-kun, this is the third Hokage and his wife, Lady Bawako. She's the one who helped me during your birth." Kaido bowed his head respectfully and greeted Hajime. Kaido, however, harbored a different sentiment towards Hiruzen. He couldn't shake the knowledge of the hardships Naruto endured due to decisions made by the self-proclaimed strongest Hokage. It weighed heavily on him that despite his father's wishes, Naruto's childhood was marred. He pondered, he allowed the village to bully and shun Naruto, even though he possessed the power to put an end to it. In contrast to Jiraiya, whom Kaido didn't harbor any animosity towards, his feelings towards Hiruzen were rooted in resentment for all that he and his associate Danzo had orchestrated and would continue to do. After a while of exchanging pleasantries, Kushina turned to Hiruzen and inquired, "What brings you here, Lord Hiruzen?" Upon hearing the question, Hiruzen solemnly responded, "Kushina, I hope you recall what giving birth as a Jinchuriki entails. During the childbirth, the seal containing the 9 tails weakens. I'm sorry, but as a precautionary measure, you will have to deliver the child the same way young Kaido was, away from the village, inside a barrier." Minato faced Kushina and interjected, "We have the seal to think of, so I will be accompanying you." Hiruzen nodded, affirming, "Just like the last time, Minato. Taji from the Anbu will join you, and I will also send my wife, Bawako, to assist. This must be carried out with the utmost secrecy as before. I will assign bodyguards, but they will be Anbu operatives under my direct command." As Hiruzen issued his orders, Kaido couldn't help but think, who is the Hokage here? Does the old monkey still think he's in charge? And why does he still have Anbu directly under him? In a serious tone, Kaido announced, "I'll also come with you, Ka-chan," capturing everyone's attention. He knew what was at stake, and he hoped that his presence would influence the course of events. Internally, he resolved, "I can't entrust my mother's safety to the old monkey's cannon fodder Anbu." As Kaido requested to be present during the birth, Kushina and Minato exchanged a knowing glance, understanding his concern. Before they could respond, the old man, with a stern expression, interjected, "It's not a place for children to be," his tone serious as he fixed his gaze on Kaido. Ignoring the old monkey, Kaido fixed his parents with determined eyes. Recognizing that they wouldn't be able to dissuade him, Minato and Kushina exchanged resigned glances. "Alright, you will accompany your mother," Minato relented, and Kushina nodded in agreement. Bawako, her concern evident, interjected, "You can't be serious, Minato," her gaze shifting between them and her husband. "It isn't a place for kids, Minato," Hiruzen added, but Minato responded with a reassuring smile, saying, "It's okay, Lord Third. I'll keep an eye on him." I'll go on ahead and prepare everything, Minato declared, to which Kushina nodded. With that, Minato departed. Recognizing that there was no point in further argument, Bawako spoke up, I will take you there, Kushina. I appreciate it, replied Kushina with a smile. Meanwhile, Kaido stood to the side, mentally preparing himself for what lay ahead. After Minato departed, Hiruzen stood up and addressed the situation, stating, alright, I'll be heading out now. One of my Anbu team will be following you. I wish you a safe delivery. With that, Hiruzen took his leave. Shortly after his departure, Bawako, rising from her seat, advised Kushina, alright, Kushina, it's quite a long journey ahead, so we should also make our way there. Let me just grab my things, said Kushina as she turned to Kaido. Kaido-kun, if you want to bring anything, you should go grab it, you know, she added, before heading off to her room to retrieve the bag she had prepared. Ka-chan, Kaido replied, rushing to his room to retrieve his ninja pouch. He opened it and meticulously checked his weapons. Kunai, shuriken, explosive tags, dad's Hiraishin kunai all check, he confirmed to himself. After ensuring everything was in order, Kaido securely strapped his ninja pouch to his hip. With his preparations complete, Kaido left his room and entered the living room, where he found his mother, Kushina, and Bawako waiting for him. Kushina, upon seeing him, inquired, got everything you need, honey? Hi. Let me carry your bag, Ka-chan, Kaido offered as he approached them. Thank you, honey. Let me lock the house so we can leave, okay? Kushina said, handing the bag to Kaido before proceeding to secure the house. After locking the house, the three of them set off towards the west exit of the village. Lady Bawako took the lead, skillfully guiding Kaido and Kushina through the village. As they made their way, Kaido employed his sensing ability to keenly perceive their surroundings. In his mind, he mused, there are 6 people following us. They must be the Anbu guarding Ka-chan. As they walked through the village, they came across Mikoto, who was cradling a bundle in her arms as she made her way towards the Uchiha clan compound. Seeing them, Kaido couldn't help but think, that must be Sasuke that Lady Mikoto is carrying. This marked the first time Kaido had laid eyes on Sasuke. Oh, Mikoto said upon seeing them, bowing her head respectfully to Lady Bawako and then turning her gaze towards Kushina. Kushina couldn't resist cooing at the baby in Mikoto's arms. Oh my, was it a girl? She inquired with a smile. Mikoto chuckled softly. It's a boy, she replied, her eyes fixed on Sasuke. Kushina's smile widened. So cute, what's his name? She asked, still admiring the newborn. It's Sasuke, Mikoto answered, her gaze never leaving her son. Upon hearing the name, Bawako nodded knowingly. Oh, so he was named after the father of the third, she remarked. Mikoto affirmed with a nod. Yes, so that he will grow up to be a strong and fine shinobi. Turning the conversation, Mikoto asked, you will be giving birth soon too, right, Kushina? You should pick a name in advance. I already have, Kushina chimed in. She then turned her attention to Sasuke and declared, his name will be Naruto. You'll be classmates, Sasuke-kun, so be friends, just like your big brothers Itachi-kun and Kaido-kun are, okay? She playfully poked at Sasuke's cheeks, a warm smile on her face. Lady Bawako intervened, gently pulling Kushina away from Mikoto. Let's go, Kushina, she urged. See you again. Kushina called out to Mikoto as she was led away. Kaido, bowing his head respectfully, added, goodbye Lady Mikoto. With that, he joined Kushina and Bawako, and they continued on their way. As they resumed their walk, Bawako turned to Kushina and spoke in a serious tone. The details of your birthing are supposed to be top secret until we get to our location, you must avoid any contact, even with your friends. Kushina scratched the back of her head, feeling a bit sheepish. Hi, I'm sorry, she replied, understanding the gravity of the situation. Bawako continued with a stern warning, also, we are leaving the village secretly. If your labor pains begin, try not to cry out loud. The urgency in her voice was palpable, emphasizing the need for discretion. After an hour of walking, they arrived at their destination. It seemed to be the same place where Kushina had given birth to Kaido. Observing the surroundings, Kaido couldn't help but think, this must be an Anbu base outside the village. As they approached, they spotted Minato, who was busy giving instructions to the Anbu. Upon noticing their arrival, he turned to them and greeted, good, you're here. Everything is set, you should head inside. He then turned to the Anbu and directed, alright, you know what to do. The Anbu nodded in understanding, promptly raising a protective barrier around the base. Minato then walked over to Kaido, taking out a necklace and placing it around his neck. Come on, we should go inside, he said, leading the way. Looking at the necklace that Minato had placed around his neck, Kaido thought, this must be a Hiraishin tag. It was a necklace with a small round medallion adorned with the Uzumaki clan symbol. A few minutes after they had set everything up, Kushina went into labor. For the next few hours, Kaido was completely lost on what to do. He stood by her side, feeling helpless as Kushina screamed in pain. It hurts, you know, she cried out. Kaido was in a state of panic. He looked at his mom, witnessing her in such excruciating pain, and the situation was only made worse by the struggle of the nine tails, trying to break free from within her. The gravity of the moment weighed heavily on him, and he desperately wished he knew how to help. This is worse than the time when she gave birth to Kaido. I've never seen her in so much pain before, Minato exclaimed, his worry evident. Buwako, in a calm and determined voice, reassured him, she'll be fine. She's already given birth once, so just stay focused on the seal, Minato. You're the fourth Hokage, so act like it. Minato took a deep breath, regaining his composure, and returned his focus to his task. I can see the head. You're almost there, Kushina, Buwako encouraged, providing support and guidance during the challenging process. Then, they heard the cries of a newborn, signaling Naruto's arrival into the world. Both Kushina and Minato couldn't hold back their tears of joy and relief as they laid eyes on their new child. He's a healthy baby, Buwako announced, her voice filled with warmth and happiness as she carefully placed Naruto in Kushina's arms. Overwhelmed with emotion, Kushina gazed down at the baby and whispered his name, Naruto. After a moment, Buwako gently took Naruto to ensure he was in good health, conducting a thorough examination. Minato, focused and determined, spoke to Kushina, just give me a second. I'll seal the nine tails completely. He knew the importance of this task and was ready to complete it. While Naruto was being born, Kaido's worry had consumed him to the point where he had completely switched off his sensing abilities. However, after the birth, he remembered what is about to happen and promptly reactivated his senses. With a clear understanding of where and when Obito would strike, Kaido prepared himself for the imminent attack. The moment he sensed a swirling distortion forming in front of Buwako and Naruto, he swiftly drew his kunai and employed the body flicker technique, instantly appearing in front of the masked man. In a split second, just as the masked man was poised to strike down Buwako and the Itachi, Kaido appeared before them, swiftly slashing at the masked man, aiming for his head with precision and accuracy. Caught off guard, the masked man was unable to turn himself intangible and had to react swiftly to block Kaido's kunai. The very same kunai he had intended to use to harm Buwako and Itachi. Sensing the imminent danger, Itachi and Buwako, the latter still cradling baby Naruto, quickly jumped back, seeking safety behind Minato. Seeing his attack was blocked by a kunai, Kaido promptly leaped back, creating some distance between himself and the masked man. In his mind, he pondered, I hope I've done enough, Dad can take it from here. Kaido held on to the hope that preventing the masked man from taking Naruto hostage would be enough to change the outcome. Caught off guard, the masked man was unable to turn himself intangible and had to react swiftly to block Kaido's kunai. The very same kunai he had intended to use to harm Buwako and Itachi. Sensing the imminent danger, Itachi and Buwako, the latter still cradling baby Naruto, quickly jumped back, seeking safety behind Minato. Seeing his attack was blocked by a kunai, Kaido promptly leaped back, creating some distance between himself and the masked man. In his mind, he pondered, I hope I've done enough, Dad can take it from here. Kaido held on to the hope that preventing the masked man from taking Naruto hostage would be enough to change the outcome. Kaido felt a sense of satisfaction wash over him as he successfully thwarted the masked man's attempt to seize Naruto as a hostage. It was this very act of taking Naruto captive that had allowed the masked man to effectively separate Minato from Kushina. Now that Naruto was out of harm's way, Minato could focus his attention on dealing with the masked man without any distractions. As Kaido sensed the presence of the masked man, a thought crossed his mind. His chakra signature doesn't feel the same as Obito. The Hashirama cell must have altered his chakra signature. That would explain why Dad couldn't figure out his true identity in the original encounter. Just as Minato was on the verge of tightening the seal of the nine tails, the sharp clash of kunai meeting in combat caught his attention. He swiftly pivoted towards the source of the sound, only to find Lady Buwako and Itachi, two members of the Anbu, landing behind him in a coordinated leap. They were closely followed by Kaido, who jumped back to create some distance between himself and the masked man. Damn it, Minato cursed inwardly, a mixture of frustration and gratitude swirling within him. I was so fixated on maintaining the seal that I completely disregarded Kaido's premonition. Luckily, Kaido managed to thwart the masked man's attempt to take Naruto hostage. The weight of concern and confusion bore down on Minato's mind. How did he breach the barrier? Who the hell is he? The relentless task of keeping the nine tails restrained had consumed Minato's attention to the point where he had unintentionally pushed aside any consideration of Kaido's earlier dreams. Just then, Kushina's piercing scream echoed through the air and Minato's gaze snapped back to her. The seal on her stomach contorted and swelled into a dark ominous mass. Kushina, Minato said urgently, concern etched across his face. The nine-tailed seal is still. His voice trailed off, filled with apprehension. I'll have to act swiftly to tighten the seal before dealing with that guy, Minato resolved, his mind racing with determination. He refocused his attention on the task at hand, urgently working to secure the seal. Both Minato and Kaido were jolted by the sudden chilling scream and the sickening thud of bodies hitting the ground. Naruto's cries of distress pierced the air behind them. They turned swiftly, dread settling in the pits of their stomachs. Before them lay Lady Bawako and the Anbu operative Taji, lifeless on the floor. Their hearts sank as they took in the grim sight. Standing over the fallen figures was yet another masked man, sinister and foreboding. In one hand, he held baby Naruto, his grip unyielding, while the other hand hovered ominously over the infant. Lady Bawako. Taji. Minato's voice rang out, laced with anguish, as he beheld their lifeless forms sprawled on the ground. Kaido's shock was palpable as his eyes locked onto the second masked man. His mind raced in disbelief. What? Did he use a shadow clone? The realization hit him hard. He had been so engrossed in the confrontation before him that he hadn't sensed the presence of this additional threat. Cursing himself inwardly, Kaido redirected his focus, honing in on the masked man holding Naruto, determination etched across his face. Fourth Hokage Minato, step away from the Jinchuriki, commanded the masked man, his voice dripping with menace. He continued, his threat hanging heavy in the air, otherwise, this child's life will end in 1 minute. As a kunai materialized in his hand, poised and ready to carry out his chilling ultimatum. Get away from the Jinchuriki. Don't you care what happens to your kid? The masked man sneered, inching the kunai dangerously closer to Naruto. Wait. Calm down. Minato pleaded, his voice tinged with panic, his mind racing for a solution to defuse the deadly situation. Meanwhile, Kaido observed with alarm as the masked man he had previously engaged vanished in a swirl. Speak for yourself, Minato. I'm as cool as can be, the masked man taunted, a chilling confidence emanating from him. In a swift motion, he hurled Naruto into the air above him. Kushina's heart-wrenching scream tore through the air as she witnessed her precious son being flung into the air. Naruto. She cried out in sheer terror and desperation. The masked man leapt into the air, kunai aimed with deadly precision at Naruto, ready to strike. In a split-second decision, Minato used the body flicker technique. He whisked Naruto away from harm's way, reappearing on the opposite side of the room with the infant securely cradled in his arms. Well, I must hand it to the yellow flash, the masked man remarked, a note of begrudging respect in his tone, but I wonder about this next one. But the swift landing, he activated explosive tags attached to Naruto. Kushina's heart leapt to her throat as she beheld the explosive tags attached to Naruto. Panic surged through her, and she shouted, Minato. Naruto. Without a moment's hesitation, Minato reacted with lightning speed. He swiftly activated his teleportation jutsu, whisking himself and Naruto to safety. The room filled with a tense stillness, broken only by the distant echoes of Kushina's desperate cries. As the masked man hurled Naruto into the air, Kaido was able to predict the masked man's next move. With a swift and calculated motion, Kaido retrieved 5 shuriken from his pouch, poised for the opportune moment. As the masked man touched down on the ground, Kaido unleashed the projectiles, simultaneously forming a half-ram hand sign. The 5 shuriken multiplied into an onslaught of 50, hurtling towards the masked man with deadly intent. As the onslaught of shuriken hurtled towards him, the masked man swiftly sank into the ground, seamlessly melding with the earth as soon as he made contact. Observing this evasion, Kaido couldn't help but find it peculiar. If he wanted to avoid it, he could have simply let them pass through him, Kaido mused, a flicker of suspicion dancing in his mind. Kaido's thoughts raced as he assessed the situation. He mentally bolstered his resolve, steeling himself for the task at hand. I'll need to keep him away from reaching mom for a few minutes. Obito shouldn't be that strong, it's his hacks abilities that are troublesome just until dad comes back. Yeah, no biggie. I can do that, Kaido affirmed, a surge of determination coursing through him. Shortly after the mysterious masked man vanished beneath the earth's surface, a swirling portal materialized in close proximity to Kushina. Sensing its presence, Kaido swiftly employed the body flicker technique, emerging directly in front of the masked man, just as he fully materialized. With a swift and determined motion, Kaido aimed his strike at the masked man's head, mirroring a move he had successfully executed a few minutes before. However, this time, the masked man displayed uncanny anticipation, skillfully ducking his head to evade the impending blow. You're quite good, kid, but not good enough, he remarked confidently. Kaido's strike was deftly evaded, prompting the masked man to counter with a swift strike of his own, slashing his kunai towards Kaido. The tense situation elicited a panicked cry from Kushina, who remained on the bed, desperately calling out, Kaido. With grim determination, the masked man uttered, die, as the kunai neared Kaido's neck. However, to the astonishment of all present, the blade simply passed through Kaido, leaving him unharmed. What? The masked man exclaimed, his confusion evident as he struggled to comprehend the inexplicable turn of events. Anticipating the masked man's move, Kaido had already employed his Zanzo Shunsen, after-image body flicker. In an instant, he materialized behind the masked man, swift and decisive, slashing at him with a triumphant thought, got you, you cocky shit. Caught entirely off guard and unprepared for Kaido's swift maneuver, the masked man found himself unable to react fast enough. As Kaido's kunai neared its target, a sudden figure emerged from the ground, intercepting Kaido's hand. What? Kaido thought, taken aback by the unexpected intervention. Before Kaido could react, his hand was mercilessly crushed and he was forcefully propelled into a nearby wall. The force of the impact sent shockwaves through his body. Witnessing this brutal assault, Kushina's voice echoed through the room, a mix of fear and desperation, as she shouted and pleaded, "Kaido. Leave him, please." Her heartache and concern for Kaido were palpable, the urgency in her plea reflecting the gravity of the situation. The masked man engaged in combat with Kaido, he muttered, "I underestimated him, finish him off. If left unchecked, he'll become troublesome in the future." With that he swiftly reached out and touched Kushina, drawing her into his dimension before following suit. The kick had been forceful, and Kaido's head collided with the unforgiving wall. He teetered on the brink of unconsciousness, his strength waning. With great effort, he managed only to mumble, "Ka-chan," his voice filled with concern for his mother now taken away. In his fading awareness, the last image that registered for Kaido was the masked man, the architect of his current plight, calmly approaching him, casting a foreboding shadow over his diminishing consciousness. The kick had been forceful, and Kaido's head collided with the unforgiving wall. He teetered on the brink of unconsciousness, his strength waning. With great effort, he managed only to mumble, "Ka-chan," his voice filled with concern for his mother now taken away. In his fading awareness, the last image that registered for Kaido was the masked man, the architect of his current plight, calmly approaching him, casting a foreboding shadow over his diminishing consciousness. Upon noticing the explosive tags attached to Naruto, Minato sprang into action, swiftly employing the flying Raijin jutsu to teleport himself and his son to one of his hidden warehouses near the village. As they materialized in the dimly lit warehouse, Minato wasted no time in unwrapping the blanket concealing the explosive tags, swiftly discarding it before leaping out of the building with baby Naruto securely cradled in his arms. The moment Minato emerged from the warehouse, the explosive tags detonated with a deafening roar, sending shockwaves through the air. Minato skidded to a halt, clutching Naruto tightly to his chest as a splinter from the blast embedded itself in his thigh. Despite the sharp pain, Minato's eyes remained fixed on his son, relief washing over his face as he confirmed that Naruto was unharmed. "Thank goodness Naruto isn't hurt," Minato breathed a sigh of gratitude, his heart filled with a profound sense of protectiveness towards his precious child. Minato, acting quickly, took out the splinter from his leg while thinking to himself, "I was forced to use the flying Raijin jutsu. His target is Kushina and he succeeded in separating us. I must hurry." Standing up, Minato teleported to another warehouse. There, he gently placed baby Naruto on a bed and said, "You'll be safe here, Naruto. Just wait a little while. I have to go and save your mother and brother." While tucking Naruto in, Minato's heart ached with worry, but he knew he had to stay focused on the task at hand. After placing Naruto on the bed, Minato created a shadow clone. They decided that the real Minato would head to Kushina, while the clone would head to Kaido, his son. With that, both Minatos teleported to the markers they had placed earlier. The moment Minato's clone teleported to the marker on Kaido, the masked man slashed a kunai at Kaido, intending to kill him. Just then, Minato appeared in a flash of yellow light and cut down the masked man before he was able to harm Kaido. Minato quickly assessed Kaido's condition. "He's unconscious," Minato observed, his voice laced with concern. "He has a concussion from hitting his head and a broken wrist. He must have tried to stop the masked man from taking Kushina." As Minato was about to teleport Kaido to where baby Naruto was, he noticed something peculiar. The masked man's body, which he had assumed was lifeless, began to contort and shift. In a matter of moments, the corpse transformed into a strange white humanoid creature. Minato's eyes widened in disbelief. What type of clone is that? He wondered, his mind grappling with the implications of this unexpected development. The creature's appearance was unlike anything he had ever encountered, its otherworldly form emitting an aura of mystery. Meanwhile, far from the tranquility of the village, Kushina found herself restrained, her body suspended upright by seals that shot out and wrapped around stone pillars. Sweat trickled down her face as she strained against the bindings, her voice laced with desperation as she demanded, "Just what do you want?" from the masked man who was restraining her. The masked man, his face obscured by a sinister mask, stood before her, his voice devoid of emotion as he revealed his chilling intentions. "I'm going to extract the nine-tailed fox from you and use its power to obliterate the Hidden Leaf Village," he declared, his words echoing with a menacing intent. Kushina's eyes widened in shock and disbelief, her voice barely a whisper as she uttered, "What?" The masked man continued, his voice dripping with malice, "Minato's teleportation jutsu allows him to move instantaneously between locations marked with jutsu formulas. He ensured your sealing formula was marked as well to safeguard you. However, I managed to create a considerable distance between us. Furthermore, the nine-tailed fox seal has been weakened due to childbirth. Do you comprehend how long I've anticipated this moment? Amidst the chaos and despair, the masked man seized control of the nine-tailed fox using his Sharingan, chasing a powerful genjutsu that allowed him to manipulate the minds of others. Kushina's body began to emit a surge of Bijuu chakra, the energy of the tailed beast, as a chakra clock materialized around her, marking the imminent release of the formidable creature. With a chilling command, the masked man declared, "Now then, come out, nine tails." In a torrent of raw power, the nine-tailed fox erupted from Kushina's seal, its massive form towering over the landscape, its eyes burning with unbridled rage. The seal that had once held the beast captive shattered under the strain, leaving Kushina to fall to the ground, drained of energy and teetering on the brink of death. Undeterred by Kushina's plight, the masked man turned to face the nine tails. "Good. Now, I'll head straight to the Hidden Leaf Village," he declared, his voice laced with malicious intent. As the masked man prepared to depart, Kushina's voice weakly reached his ears. "Wait." She pleaded, her body struggling to rise from the ground. The masked man paused, his gaze fixed on the Uzumaki Kunoichi. "Uzumaki shinobi are truly remarkable," he remarked, a hint of grudging admiration in his voice. "You managed to hold on to life even after the tailed beast's extraction. Since you were once the Jinchuriki of the nine tails, I'll use it to end your miserable existence." Minato arrived just as the masked man was about to unleash the nine tails' devastating power upon Kushina. With a swift and decisive action, Minato bodyflicker himself and Kushina out of harm's way, reappearing on a towering tree a few meters away. "I wasn't fast enough to stop him," Minato lamented, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on his mind. The masked man, unfazed by Minato's arrival, let out a mocking taunt, "I must say, you're as quick as your nickname, Yellow Flash. But you're too late." Kushina, exhausted from childbirth and the ordeal of having the nine tails extracted, looked up at Minato with a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Minato, are Naruto and Kaido safe?" she asked weakly, her voice barely a whisper. Minato, determined to reassure his beloved wife, offered a reassuring smile. "Hi, both of them are safe," he replied, his voice filled with unwavering love. "Both are in a safe place now." Kushina, relieved to hear that her children were safe, let out a sigh of relief. "Thank goodness Minato, you must stop that man, and the nine tails right now just like Kaido said he's heading for Konoha." Minato's eyes hardened, his gaze fixed on the masked man with a burning intensity. He knew that the safety of his family and his village rested upon his shoulders. With a final glare at the masked man, Minato activated the flying rage jutsu, teleporting himself and Kushina in an instant. They vanished from the scene, leaving behind the ruins of the battleground and the lingering echoes of the masked man's sinister laughter. "He teleported off again. Well, never mind, we are heading for the Hidden Leaf Village," said the masked man, unperturbed by Minato's escape, simply shrugged and disappeared into a swirling portal of his own, his destination set for the Hidden Leaf Village. The stage was set for a clash, a battle that would determine the fate of the village and the lives of those who held it dear. Arriving at the safe house where baby Naruto and Kaido were, Minato gently laid Kushina down beside her sons on the bed. The sight of his wife, weakened and exhausted, filled him with a surge of sadness and determination. "Never mind that, just stay with the kids," he instructed Kushina, his voice firm yet gentle. Kushina, her eyes brimming with tears, gathered her sons close, her frail arms encircling their bodies. "Minato, thank you, good luck," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Minato, cloaked in his Hokage mantle, his expression etched with resolve, nodded solemnly. "I'll be right back," he promised, his voice unwavering. With a final glance at his beloved family, Minato activated the flying rage jutsu, disappearing in a swirl of yellow light. Minato, cloaked in his Hokage mantle, his expression etched with resolve, nodded solemnly. "I'll be right back," he promised, his voice unwavering. With a final glance at his beloved family, Minato activated the flying rage jutsu, disappearing in a swirl of yellow light. As Minato vanished, Kushina tightened her grip on her sons, her heart filled with a bittersweet mixture of love and worry. She knew that Minato faced a formidable adversary, a battle that would determine the fate of their village and their children's future. Yet, amidst the fear and uncertainty, she found solace in the unwavering bond she shared with her husband and children, a bond that would guide her through the darkness and give her strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Meanwhile, in the hidden village of Konohagakure, life flowed peacefully, with villagers going about their daily routines, their faces etched with contentment. The streets hummed with the vibrant energy of nighttime, a stark contrast to the tranquility of the day. Amidst the bustling crowd, a young man with white hair and a headband covering his left eye strolled alongside another teenager sporting a dark bowl haircut and a green skin-tight suit. These were Kakashi Haddock and his eternal rival Might Guy. "Why don't we just do rock paper scissors again tonight?" Kakashi suggested casually as they navigated the lively streets. I recoiled in mock indignation. "Not that again. Think of something more exciting," he exclaimed, his voice laced with mock exasperation. How can you call yourself my rival if you're so content with such a mundane pastime? Kakashi's eye crinkled into a smile as he replied, we have an early mission tomorrow, so let's save our energy for that. With a calm demeanor, he continued walking, his hot-blooded friend trailing behind. Don't use a mission as an excuse. Guy interjected with fervor, his voice echoing through the night. I have all this pent-up energy inside me. Now is the time for diligent training. He continued his impassioned speech, oblivious to the fact that Kakashi had stopped in his tracks. Honest-to-goodness discipline and hard work will lead to success in future missions. Are you even listening to me? Guy exclaimed, his voice laced with exasperation as he noticed Kakashi's sudden halt in their conversation. Kakashi, his gaze sweeping across their surroundings, addressed Guy with a hint of concern in his voice. Say Guy, do you sense anything strange happening around here? There's a noticeable chill in the air. Guy, interpreting Kakashi's words as an attempt to evade their usual competition, dismissed his concern with a playful retort. It's your attitude that's causing the chill, Kakashi. We're only young once. Embrace the youthful energy and let's get some training in. Within the confines of the Uchiha clan compound, nestled within the home of their clan leader, Itachi Uchiha found himself entrusted with the care of his younger brother, Sasuke. Their parents had ventured out, leaving Itachi to oversee Sasuke's well-being. As they sat in the serenity of their backyard, a sudden uneasiness washed over Itachi, his gaze drawn upwards to the moon hanging ominously in the night sky. Baby Sasuke, sensing the palpable tension permeating the air, began to whimper, his cries echoing through the stillness. Itachi, his heart sinking with a sense of foreboding, turned his attention to his distraught brother, his voice laced with gentle reassurance. There, he soothed, his touch radiating warmth and comfort. Don't cry, Sasuke. No matter what happens, Big Brother will always protect you. As he cradled his trembling brother, Itachi's mind raced with questions and concerns. The strange feeling that had settled over him was undeniable. It feels strange. Of all time for mom and dad to be out within the confines of the Sarutobi clan estate, enveloped by the tranquility of his study, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, sat engrossed in the intricate details of a crucial document. His brow furrowed in concentration, his eyes scanning the lines of text with meticulous care. Suddenly, an inexplicable sensation washed over him, a wave of unease that sent a chill down his spine. Instinctively, he lifted his gaze from the document, his eyes drawn towards the window that overlooked the serene courtyard. The tranquility of the night seemed to shimmer with an undercurrent of tension, as if the very fabric of reality was trembling on the brink of an imminent shift. With a sigh, Hiruzen exhaled a plume of smoke from his pipe, the wisp curling upwards like a question mark into the stillness of the room. His mind, usually a fortress of unwavering calm, was now clouded with a sense of impending turmoil. It can't be, he murmured to himself, the words echoing through the silent study. The weight of the unknown pressed heavily upon him, a chilling premonition of a darkness that was about to descend upon the village. In the heart of the village, a swirling vortex materialized out of thin air, disrupting the tranquil night. From this otherworldly portal emerged a masked figure, his stance poised and determined. With a sharp cry of summoning jutsu, he slammed his left hand against the ground, etching a complex Sila matrix into the earth. In an instant, the air crackled with raw power as an immense cloud of smoke erupted from the seal, engulfing the area in a dense veil of obscurity. The village trembled as shockwaves reverberated through the streets, the villagers' peaceful slumber shattered by the sudden chaos. As the smoke dissipated, a monstrous figure emerged from the haze, its towering presence casting an ominous shadow over the village. The villagers gasped in terror as they beheld the nine-tailed fox, its 9 colossal tails lashing out in a fury of destruction. Panic-stricken screams filled the air as the villagers scrambled for cover, their faces etched with fear. The once peaceful village was now a scene of utter pandemonium, the tranquility shattered by the arrival of this legendary beast. Standing atop the 9-tailed fox, the masked man issued his command, his voice echoing through the chaos like a thunderclap. Go, 9 tails. With a deafening roar that shook the very foundations of the village, the 9 tails unleashed its pent-up fury. Its colossal paws and tails slammed into buildings with the force of a rampaging typhoon, reducing them to rubble in a matter of seconds. Its fiery breath scorched everything in its path, leaving behind a trail of devastation. Panic-stricken villagers fled in terror, their screams swallowed by the cacophony of destruction. Homes were laid waste, streets were reduced to impassable debris, and the once vibrant Hidden Leaf village was transformed into a scene of utter chaos. The 9-tailed fox, a symbol of unbridled power and destruction, reigned supreme, its rampage leaving a trail of death and despair in its wake. Amidst the pandemonium unleashed by the 9-tailed fox, an Anbu ninja, clad in their distinctive black garb, materialized in the third Hokage's study, their eyes wide with alarm. "Lord Third Hokage," they exclaimed, their voice laced with urgency. The 9 tails has suddenly appeared in the village. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the seasoned leader of the village, rose from his seat, his eyes hardening with determination. I am aware of that, he replied, his voice calm and resolute amidst the chaos. I will suppress it. You and the others protect the civilians. With a swift movement, Hiruzen donned his battle suit, the familiar crimson armor enveloping his wiry frame. His eyes, usually filled with wisdom and serenity, now burned with an unwavering resolve. Leaping from his window, he soared into the night sky, his heart heavy with the weight of responsibility. As he jumped towards the heart of the destruction, Hiruzen's mind raced with questions and concerns. Had the seal that bound the 9 tails within Kushina Uzumaki been broken? Despite all the precautions they had taken, had they failed to protect their village from this catastrophic threat? His thoughts drifted to Bawako. Damn you, 9 tails. This is the moment I unleash my pent-up power. Might Guy declared, his voice resonating with a fiery determination that mirrored the chaos that had engulfed the village. Kakashi, ever the pragmatist, recognized the gravity of the situation. Don't be hasty, Guy, he cautioned, his voice a steady counterpoint to Guy's impassioned outburst. We need to approach this strategically. I, however, was undeterred. Come on. I'll be your opponent. He challenged, his body poised for action, ready to charge into the heart of the destruction. Just then, a seasoned Jonin ninja materialized before them, his expression grim and his voice firm. Wait, he commanded, halting Guy in his tracks. Gather immediately in the guardroom. Kakashi, ever the dutiful ninja, inquired, why? It's the 3rd Hokage's order, the Jonin replied, his words carrying the weight of authority. A flicker of surprise crossed Guy's face, his eagerness momentarily tempered. Lord 30 murmured. Kakashi nodded, his eyes meeting Guy's. You heard him. Let's go, Guy. Now's our chance. Evacuate the civilians. Shikaku's commanding voice rang out, cutting through the chaos like a beacon of hope amidst the pandemonium. His orders were clear and concise, a testament to his unwavering resolve and strategic brilliance. As the 9-tailed fox continued its rampage, wreaking havoc upon the village, Shikaku directed the surrounding ninjas into action. With unwavering determination, they launched a coordinated assault, hurling kunai embedded with paper bombs at the colossal beast. The explosions, though seemingly insignificant against the 9-tails' immense power, served their purpose. They diverted the beast's attention, creating a vital window of opportunity for the evacuation of the villagers. Don't take action on your own, assemble before Lord Hiruzen. Shikaku's orders echoed through the ranks of the ninjas, emphasizing the importance of unity and a unified strategy against the formidable foe. His words served as a stark reminder that victory in this battle would not be achieved through individual acts of heroism, but through a collective effort. At that moment, amidst the chaos and destruction, a figure appeared standing tall atop the head of the Hokage monument. It was Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, his face etched with a grim determination that mirrored the gravity of the situation. Gazing upon the ruins of his beloved village, the devastation wrought by the 9-tailed fox under the control of the masked man, Minato's heart clenched with a mix of sorrow and resolve. The village he had sworn to protect was in peril, and he, as its leader, would not stand idly by. As Hokage, he declared to himself, his voice echoing through the ravaged streets, I will protect the village, my family, right now. This is what I need to do. I won't allow him to inflict any more harm. Sensing Minato's presence atop the Hokage monument, the 9-tailed fox turned its massive head, its fiery eyes burning with a malevolent intent. A low snarl rumbled from its throat, a sound that echoed through the streets of the devastated village. Minato, standing tall and unflinching, met the 9-tail's gaze with unwavering determination. So, you've taken notice of me, he stated, his voice calm and steady. The 9-tails, its anger flaring, opened its jaws, and within its gaping maw, a sphere of intense purple-blue chakra began to coalesce. Minato recognized the ominous sign, the formation of a tailed beast bomb, a devastating attack capable of leveling an entire city. Without hesitation, Minato began weaving hand seals, his movement swift and precise. You won't get your way here. He declared, his voice resonating with unwavering resolve. As the 9-tails launched its tailed beast bomb, a colossal sphere of destructive energy hurtling towards Minato, the Hokage activated a modified version of his signature jutsu, the Flying Thunder God. Guiding Thunder. The tailed beast bomb, a force of nature, tore through the streets, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Just as the tailed beast bomb was about to engulf Minato, a space-time seal matrix materialized in the space directly in front of him. The tailed beast bomb was sucked into the seal, vanishing into an unseen dimension, its destructive potential neutralized. Minato, standing unscathed, clutched a Hiraishin kunai in his palms. He activated the jutsu, teleporting the tailed beast bomb a considerable distance away from the village. In the distance, a massive explosion erupted, a blinding flash of light illuminating the night sky. The force of the explosion shook the ground, a testament to the immense power he had just contained. For this large a scale, I'll have to be careful where I send it, Minato thought to himself, his eyes fixed on the distant detonation. He knew that another such explosion within the confines of the village would be catastrophic. The ninjas surrounding the Inoshikacho trio watched in awe as the tailed beast bomb, a destructive force of nature, was swallowed by a shimmering seal matrix. The air crackled with residual energy, and a stunned silence fell over them. The jutsu that stopped the Nine Tails' attack must be the teleportation barrier. Choza exclaimed, his voice laden with astonishment. The Flying Thunder God technique, a legendary jutsu known for its ability to transport its user across vast distances, was the only technique he could imagine capable of such a feat. "It's Minato," Shikaku affirmed, his eyes filled with a mix of admiration and relief. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, was renowned for his mastery of the Flying Thunder God technique, and his presence at this critical moment was a beacon of hope for the village. "Alright, we're going to." Hiruzen declared, his voice resolute and unwavering. The third Hokage, despite his age and the weight of responsibility he bore, was determined to stand alongside his successor and face the nine-tailed fox together. Minato, having successfully neutralized the tailed beast bomb, thought I must report all that's happened to Lord Third immediately, as he was about to report the situation to the third Hokage when he sensed a presence behind him. With lightning-fast reflexes, he spun around, his kunai flashing as he lunged at the masked man. To Minato's astonishment, his kunai passed right through the masked figure as if he were a genjutsu. The masked man, despite being seemingly solid, was somehow impervious to Minato's physical attack. Before Minato could react further, the masked man's hand shot out, gripping Minato's wrist. "I'm your opponent and it's all over," the masked man declared, his voice echoing with a sinister undertone. With a swift motion, the masked man activated his jutsu, a swirling vortex around his hand. Minato felt an irresistible force pulling him towards the vortex, his body slowly being drawn into the masked man's dimension. But Minato was not one to surrender without a fight. He activated his Flying Thunder God technique, teleporting himself away from the masked man's grasp. The masked man, momentarily caught off guard, watched as Minato vanished into thin air. He teleported away. "He's fast next time, I'll get him faster the instant we make contact," he muttered to himself, a hint of frustration in his voice.